Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Flea and I are back as we continue our look into horror anime with Boogiepop Phantom. A light in the sky, followed by a strange aura and murders. Each character tells a relationship with the event. All the stories are slowly intertwined by apparently minimal similarities, and the story of Boogiepop is revealed. Welcome back. This is a fun one, I have to say. We're only doing the first part, obviously the first 6 episodes of 12.
I think if we try, as complicated it is, I think if we tried to do all 12, we'd just tie ourselves in knots.
Yeah. So I think this first one is just going through the plot, make our guesses. Obviously, you've seen it before, so
I've seen it more than once.
yeah. Not as severe as Paranoia Agent.
No,
I'll give it that.
I always think if Paranoia Agent had been made more in the style of Boogiepop Phantom, it would have made a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, this one doesn't feel as abstract, so you could sort of follow along, and then I don't know. I think watching Paranoia Agent first though primes you to look for every detail.
Gets you ready, gets you ready just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. Paranoia Agent. I've watched it for this decade. That's it. I never have to watch it again.
Yeah, it feels like this is on easy mode, or at least moderate.
So just before we came on, I was saying like if after you finish watching Boogiepop Phantom, if you watch it again, you'll pick up on more. You'll pick up on more of like the things, more of like the minutiae in the anime. Paranoia Agent's the same. The only difference is you'll actually want to watch this again.
Yeah, because that just bends your brain.
What were they?
Yeah, I'm in no rush.
What were they smoking when they made that one?
But good series. We're starting off with a scream and a splatter of blood all over the place. Like
it's going to be good when you start off with like a splatter of blood and a scream.
And then we'll see that. So this whole thing honestly is giving me like Candyman vibe, because we're dealing with urban legends. We're hearing it keeps cutting back to the two schools, and the girls are gossiping, and they keep talking about Boogiepop. Now, here's my question: are there two entities? Are Boogiepop and Boogiepop Phantom separate things?
You're going to have to find this out.
Because they're listed as two separate characters, and I'm kind of trying to pick up
that. You've been shocking.
Yeah, because what I do is I pull up the IMDb thing, I look at the characters so I can like keep their names out, because there's so many people involved. Like, trying to keep track of all the characters.
How much of a spoiler would it be if I told you?
At the moment, nothing is really obvious, but something's going on. And I don't know if Boogiepop is an abstract thing or an actual character, because I haven't seen two entities.
Right, like Boogiepop. Boogiepop is the main character in the novel series that this is based on.
Mm-hmm.
The existence of, air quotes, Boogiepop Phantom is one of the big reveals towards the end of the series.
Right.
It'll still surprise you, because you have to learn the history and everything about the Boogiepop Phantom is.
Yeah, I knew something's going on. It's like this isn't clear cut, so our main character in the first one, then, Portraits from Memory, is Moto. She's like, just reminds me of me at school, just awkward, just not interested in like the usual social stuff. Bit of an oddball.
Yeah,
still figuring herself out.
Yeah, he is. It's like Moto is kind of like the quiet kid who just like sits at the back, tries his best. I actually think his character, Moto's character, is designed so that like anybody who watches this can kind of look at it and go like, yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate with him.
Is she not a girl?
Pardon?
Is Moto not a girl?
Who am I thinking of? Hang on, Moto's.
Are you thinking of Satomi?
Moto's, yes, I am. Moto's the one with the long hair and the glasses. Sorry.
Yeah, but something's going on because the excessive hand washing, the wiping, with getting the wipes and stuff. Like she's clearly got OCD. Like there's something deeper going on, and we don't know if this is just her or it's all related to this event because we see as well in the beginning this light shining up in the sky. We see like a blackout happening, and I don't think this is set in Tokyo. I think it's I don't think it's said what city it is,
I don't think it actually tells you what a city it's set in.
but the city goes blank and everything seems to be linked around it.
I'm just checking to make sure it doesn't. Nope, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't actually tell you where it exists. I'll have to look into this.
I'm not sure if it does, but I don't think it's Tokyo anyway. So, but anyway, the city, this event takes place, and this is dealing. There's been a time jumping, isn't there?
There
5 years.
is.
Something happened 5 years.
It's like
and
5 years ago in the timeline, the number of people were killed by this mysterious serial killer, who just they appeared. They appeared. They killed like half a dozen people, and then they just disappeared.
Mm-hmm. So we've got that, and then we've got this event, which we're not quite sure. The timeline seems to be revolving around the event, but it's a separate thing. That's what I'm trying to glean from this.
It's like each of the episodes is a snapshot. The books are written, the novels are written in exactly the same way. Each chapter is a snapshot, and it's kind of like it's up to the viewer to piece them together and create the timeline and solve all the mysteries and like the untie the knots and work out how people are related to each other. It's like the mysterious column of light is kind of like the linchpin that holds them all in place.
I was thinking Sin City. Do you know why when you watch or read Sin City, it's all the characters sort of bounce and they'll brush past the other one, and it's all leading up to this, particular plot line or event.
Yes, because it's like characters from like you will see characters in scenes with other characters that will appear later on in the series or appeared earlier in the series. It's like it's like Saitomi in the first one, also in the second one.
I thought he was in the third one, then realized that was a different character. Because here's the only thing: the way this has been drawn, and they're using the shadow, it's actually quite difficult to pick out the characters.
I kind of like that though.
So you think you're dealing with the same character, and then you have to sort of shake your head a bit, go, no, this is somebody else. Just the way they're drawn, they're not very. The male characters, especially, aren't very distinctive. The young sort of teenage males are all very similar.
It'd be better if they're dressed differently, but every time you seem to see them, they're in the flaming school uniforms.
Yep, and obviously there's only two schools. There's two main schools, Shinhwa Academy, and then the other one I can't even begins with an H. I can't even begin to pronounce. I give up.
The one that Toku
how touchy should be head of Academy school or something.
The one that Toku and Nagi go to. Yeah,
the Shoyin Academy, which was also the Shoyin School, but it changed its name for some reason. That was brought up.
That happens a lot because it's like this anime is like 25 years old. It's like
no, but I mean in this timeline they actually mentioned that the school changed names in the time for a reason, and I didn't know whether it was important or not.
The
Shoyin.
It's because a number of the victims of the serial killer came from that school.
Oh, so they changed it from school to the academy.
They changed the name to kind of like try and erase the stigma of that.
Ah, right, okay. I knew there was a reason because it was mentioned. This is one of these ones that you're sort of looking at little bits and pieces. It's like a Poirot.
Yeah,
you're trying to
I've got to be honest. It's mentioned, but it might actually be mentioned in one of the next few episodes we've got to watch.
Mm-hmm.
because like I say, it's one of those things that it's almost you almost have to like sit down with a notepad and make notes so you can cross reference them while you're watching it.
Yeah. The interesting scene is this was Moto. Moto goes to the nurse, and I thought Satomi was there, but it's actually another character.
It is.
Hisashi.
They all look the same.
That's the only annoying thing about this, because you can't write a complex story and expect people to keep track if you don't give people distinctive features.
But he's actually a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, but he's a good technique. There's a bug in your heart. I'm going to feel your boobies. I never thought of trying that.
It's not the kind of pickup line you normally hear, is it?
No, I'm going to feel your boobies now to remove the bug in your heart. Okay.
If you want me to grope your chest to make you better, just let me know. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but obviously Moto doesn't play ball. And just like such a random scene.
It just kind of like it's almost like a comedy element in it, isn't it? Because it's like the show so far has been quite serious, and then all of a sudden you've got this guy saying like, "If you want me to fill you up, I'll get rid of that bug in your heart," and it's like, what? Why? Why? We will find out later.
Yeah,
but that's just it. That's like that scene there is the crossover between episode 1 and episode 2.
Yep. The scene in the nurse's office, which we'll come back to. But this one's all revolving around Satomi, who's went missing, and Moto encounters him.
Yes, because you actually, even though he's gone missing, you actually end up meeting Satomi a lot during the series.
Yep. Which is interesting. So, what is it? We've got the girls they're going through, but for some reason, Moto gets. She needs to find out what's happened to Satomi. Here's a weird thing as well. She goes to another school, like just visits another school, like, and everyone's all polite there.
Yeah. If you did it in this country, you'd probably end up beating up and upside down in the dustbin.
You'd get the pan knocked out of you. That's the thing about over here. Schools are tribal.
It might have been different if she'd approached and talked to one of the boys there, but she didn't. She talked to one of the girls. Because she goes looking for Karima Nagi. And Nagi's got a bit of a reputation as a bad girl, which is why the girl's like, "Oh my God, you need to speak to Nagi. Is everything all right? What happened? What have you done? What have you done? Is it serious? Do you want me to go with you?"
Yeah. And we don't meet her in these first couple of episodes as a child, but just see her as an adult.
I would say for the first few episodes, the only place you see Nagi is in the opening credits. So I do like the fact that it kind of like literally 3 of the most important characters it introduces you to them in the opening credits.
Yeah, I think I should have went back and watched the first episode again, because by the time I got to episode 4, for example, I felt like I was missing something and needed to go back. That's the thing about this.
But welcome. Welcome. Boogiepop Phantom is a lot like the film Sixth Sense. You miss half of the stuff in it when you watch it.
Yeah, and then you need to sort of go back and pick up the clues. And
got to be honest, that is one of the reasons I like it though.
No, I like things because it's just it's definitely a study piece. It's one of those, you're unraveling the mystery and you need to pay attention, but you kind of need to go back as well. You don't have the luxury, I think, of just watching this on a surface level, because it won't make sense.
No, you can't. There is a certain degree of concentration that's required with Boogiepop.
Yeah, you're not. This isn't a popcorn flick or just something you watch for fun. As in, what I mean is, just have it on in the background or what. This is something you have to
Yeah,
like
yeah. It's
be focused on in the moment and paying
the
attention.
the novels are exactly the same. The novels aren't one of those things that you just kind of like flip through when you're on a train or something like that. You've actually got to sit down and seriously read the damn things, which is one of the reasons why I think the novels, there's like 20 odd volumes of the novels, but only 6 of them have ever been released in the West. And I think that's simply because you've seriously got to read them. It's not the kind of thing you pick up and read for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Of course, as our attention spans are diminishing year by year.
Yeah. They released 6 of them and they've never released the rest.
Mm. Yep. See, there's a lot going on. You're sort of getting introduced to the world. The schools are important. The urban legend of Boogiepop, we find out, is being continually talked about. And that kids have went missing. What we don't get fully into why or how. That's not really.
We kind of do towards the end of the 6 that we've watched so far.
Yeah, it does later on episode. I'm just talking about the first one. It's very.
Yeah, the problem is the problem is it's like Boogiepop Phantom is like it's an original story. It's an original story set in the Boogiepop universe. It was made by the guy who was in charge of the animation studio that created this was a massive fan of Boogiepop.
This is Madhouse, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was indeed. It's like he approached oh shucks, what's it? He approached Kodono, the guy who wrote Boogiepop Phantom. We want to make a Boogiepop Phantom anime. Will you write a story for us? So it's like this is basically the anime is made by fans for fans who know everything there is to know about Boogiepop. So in the beginning, for people who haven't read the books, Boogiepop Phantom, it's a case of being chucked in the deep end of the swimming pool and being like, there you go, learn to swim.
That's what the first episode feels like, honestly. There's more to it. There's a lot going on, and you're just trying to figure it out, and you don't know why. Moto, for example, just randomly wants to go and look for Satomi because she barely knew him, but it became like an idea or something.
Yeah, in a way, episode 1 gives you all the information, but none of the context that you need to understand it. But it's like it's something like Moto wants to talk to Sayotome because Sayotome's girl was one of the people who was killed 5 years ago.
Mm. And why she felt that, we don't know yet, but obviously that's the right. But then she does actually meet him. That's the thing. She goes into town, encounters him, and basically tries to kill her.
I say it's kind of weird, but it's kind of like she gets dragged to a karaoke by some of her friends because there's only 2 of them and there's going to be 3 boys there. I think the idea there is like it's the boys pay for everything, so there has to be a girl for every boy, even if the girl just kind of like runs off afterwards. But and they're making their way through the street, and she's lagging, and there's just like this shape of light appears and turns into Satomi.
Yeah, but it's not really Satomi because there's something going on there, which we don't quite know yet.
Speak for yourself. See, I'm
just going by the, it becomes obvious like 2 or 3 episodes in, but I'm just going by the initial reaction of the first episode. You're kind of like, oh, what the hell?
something's not right here.
Yeah.
Something has happened.
He's possessed or something, or it's not him, or something's wearing his face. We don't know. Like the first episode, you're just, as you said, getting thrust into this world.
Mm.
And then that's when we see Boogiepop Phantom. He just, I can't tell if Boogiepop's male or female.
Boogiepop is female.
Right.
But the thing is, was that Boogiepop Phantom or was that Boogiepop?
That's why I was sort of premising. I can't. They've made, and I don't know whether it's on purpose, but everyone is so androgynous in this, apart from when they're in schoolgirl uniform. Like the only distinctive characters are the schoolgirls. Everyone else is.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. This is anime. Whether they're dressed in a schoolgirl outfit or a schoolboy outfit is one of the two ways you can tell.
But once they step out of that, it's like you can't. Like I said, the worst thing about this is all the male characters look exactly the same. And when we meet Boogiepop, you're sort of scratching your head, going, even the voice.
I think
you can't really 100% tell.
I honestly think that is deliberate to add to the confusion.
Mm-hmm. So you can't narrow Boogiepop down to is it a persona? Is it an entity? Do they have attachment to a human? Are they human? That sort of thing. Because you can't narrow down who's who, really. Once they start playing with the shadows and stuff, all the characters sort of become blurred, and that's a bit of a head scratcher for the first episode.
I like that, but it's I know where the story is going at this moment, and I know what happens next. So it's the massive advantage of having seen it before, because it's like the first time I watched this series, I was like, what was that all about? Got to the end, really enjoyed the way it ended, came back to watch it again, and that's where you're going like, this is like this because this happens because that happened in the past in an episode in the future, and it just kind of like it. Yeah,
I suppose my question is, like, the first episode, I'm talking about maybe the casual viewer or somebody who goes, oh, I want to check this out. It's not very inviting, is it?
No,
there's an expectation that you're there for the full ride, isn't it?
Yeah, there are quite a lot of anime series like that. It's like there's very little. In order to go from episode 1 to episode 2, it requires quite a lot of investment. You've got to be interested in like what happens next. Why is this happening? And it's like when you get to episode we do get to episode 2. Very little of what happened in episode 1 relates to episode 2 whatsoever.
But you start getting the seeds because obviously, like the nurse scene, that sort of links back, and then we start to see more. But I guess what I'm trying to put forward here is, for the casual viewer, you're going to be confused. If you're just wanting to check this out in the surface level, you'll be annoyed. I've got to be honest. You got to commit.
Yeah, I've got to commit. From my perspective as an anime fan, the first time I watched this, I was confused. But it's then I watched it again. I read up on it. I discovered it isn't for casuals. It's for hardcore Boogiepop fans.
Right.
Being the fact that when this was released on when this was first released on video and DVD, nobody in the West had heard of Boogiepop. Nobody had read it, so they just released this on an unsuspecting audience.
Yeah, I can see why that would cause confusion, because
oddly enough, it bombed.
Really? Is that not
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, but is that not the mistake the West is making right now, particularly Disney?
Yes.
Because they're trying to tie all their movies into their streaming platform. Basically, you can't watch a movie without watching like 2 series of something and 5 movies beforehand, because all the plots kind of intertwined, so you can't really intertwine. Sorry, so you can't like look at these on the surface level.
Yeah,
Anime seems to be that's its default setting. That basically any series that comes out is already based on the book, and if you haven't read the book, you're
like the problem. I always say, if you're gonna watch an anime series, if you're gonna give a series, whatever the series is, a try, don't pass judgment until you've watched the first 3 episodes. Yeah.
Mhm.
The thing is, the first 3 episodes of Boogiepop don't really give you a lot of footholds and handholds to cling on to.
no, but to start setting a pattern of
The,
you
the,
need to look back, you need
yeah,
to pay attention.
the first episode gives you episode 1, Portraits from Memory, gives you a lot of information, but like I've said, it gives you no context. There's no guide. You can't look at what you've seen and like put it in any kind of order, because as in like individual incidents, none of it makes a great deal of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get to like Light in Darkness, which is a bit strange, to be quite honest.
Yeah, but then this is where we go to Hishashi's character, who we meet in the first episode.
Yeah.
Who randomly just tries to grope Moto's breast.
So he can like deal with the bugs in their hearts.
Yeah. And then we find out that actually this is an ability he has. I was thinking of like a Sin Eater. That's what he's kind of doing, but it's
kind of, isn't it?
But it's not benevolent. We'll find out it's not actually for benevolent reasons.
It's weird, but when you go back on it and watch it again, it is such a good. Do you know what? I don't actually think I was going to say it's such a good episode, but I don't think there is a bad episode. 1 is confusing, but I don't actually think there's a bad episode in Boogiepop.
No, the reason I'm having the conversation the way I am is just obviously we're talking about this, and somebody may not have ever seen this.
Yes.
And may from the channel want to check it out. So I like to sort of warn people, right? If you're getting into this, you need to sort of be primed, because this is the experience you're going to have. Because that's something I've noticed a lot of channels don't talk about. They sort of go on the surface level of things. Oh, there's shiny lights. The shiny lights were pretty. Go watch this. Oh, the shiny lights weren't pretty. And people have forgotten about storytelling.
Yeah, the shining light's great, but there's no story whatsoever. Or there's an amazing story, but it looks like a 4-year-old drawn it.
Yeah,
a few of those as well. But I wouldn't say this was a beginner's anime.
No, that would make sense. And there's a purpose, like I said, even the animation, the drawing, the fact that the characters blend into each other, and to the point of them being androgynous that you don't even know, you can't even separate the girl characters from the boy characters. It's all it's almost like do you know if you've had a traumatic event, and you've got repressed memories, or you're like a witness to something that's overwhelmed you, and you don't know who's who. You saw there's a thing the police use, or when they're getting witness statements. So if they say somebody they saw somebody and they're wearing a red jumper, but nobody's wearing a red jumper because they saw a billboard with a model wearing a red jumper, and that's superimposed in their mind. There's actually a whole psychology behind that of how we remember things and how we unpack it. And I think this is playing with that. That there's been a massive event, there's been an overwhelming event, and we're getting the unreliable narrator of people's recollections and how people even sound. And I think the animation with this is deliberately playing with that. I get that feeling. It doesn't feel like it's done badly, as in this is an animation style that's been chosen, not imposed due to limitations.
Very well thought out, hasn't it? There's another anime that came out around the same time, but it's more of like a socio-psychological kind of like techno horror kind of thing called Serial Experiments Lane. It uses exactly the same art style, but even more basic.
No, again, like I said, it's I can see that this is a choice, and it's for the purpose of telling this story. Like you're not. This isn't what do you call that? Dragon Ball Z or something. This isn't. If you're thinking just to watch an animated film or something really simple, this isn't it. So if you're prepared for that, I think you're. I think you're going to enjoy it because like this is the episode that sort of let me know what they expect, especially from Hisashi when he will get the revisiting to the nurse's office.
Episode 2. I love the hook at the beginning.
Yeah, he's getting chased by Boogiepop.
It's like Hisashi being chased by Boogiepop, and it's like, hello, what's going on here? Why is it we know he's weird because he's kind of like, if you'd
Well,
really,
he's
really
offered
like
to
me,
grope random
if
girls'
you'd
breasts.
really like me to get rid of that bug on your heart, wiggles his fingers. It's also Boogiepop's character is cool, so we need as much of Boogiepop in this as possible.
There's actually a couple of episodes you don't see Boogiepop at all, which is interesting. So it isn't, once again, this isn't your typical Boogiepop turns up. It's not Hell Girl, where she turns up in every episode and she's the focal part. Boogiepop is more an abstract idea.
Yes. It's like Boogiepop is an urban legend. It's like Boogiepop shows up when Boogiepop needs to. And there's just some cases where she isn't needed.
Yeah. I didn't catch the name of the character, the one that was speaking to the detective.
Oh, in the hospital.
Yes.
That's Nagi. Kirima Nagi. You see her later on.
Right. This is where the bit because I couldn't determine if I didn't think it was Moto.
No.
So that's Karima, right? Okay.
Yeah, because Moto is kind of like the girl next door. She's very prim. She's very proper. She wears spectacles. She's got long hair in pigtails.
Right. So she's a major character in this.
Yeah. Nagi was she was involved with the hunt for the serial killer 5 years ago, which, considering at the moment that she's only like a high school student, means she'd only have been like 11, 12 back then.
Yeah, it's interesting. But she's talking to this detective who's just he's just burnt out and like the world's shit. Doesn't matter what I do because the courts work against us.
Yes, Kuroda. Shinpei Kuroda.
And then she says something interesting to him. It's, well, just do it. If you want to be a force for good, just be it.
That is, I've got to be honest, that is such a good line.
Do you know when you see people crying on? I see it a lot with authors, and I'll use that term loosely because all they do is spend all day posting on social media about blah 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 blah. I was like, if you fucking knuckle down, if you want to be a writer, be it. If you want to be this, be it.
Yes.
Do the thing. Don't talk about it. Don't navel gaze. Don't think everything's against you. It's just the world's the world. It's almost like everyone wants a secret path that'll just unfold everything and not put the work in. It's that sort of wow, woe's me type thing. And you can just tell other people that aren't doing anything because they're just wasting their lives. Karima's kind of given that sort of, well, what's stopping you? The courts, but
I'm feeling a bit called out now, to be quite honest.
What do you mean?
I spent my entire day slapped in front of my computer doing nothing. It's like,
Well, it wasn't a personal thing because
Oh
I don't
no,
I don't follow your
joking.
day by day.
I'm joking. It's fine.
No, but do you know what I mean? He's gone down that path of woe is me. It's all pointless. I may as well just not bother. And she sort of gives him that jolt of, well, just be the force for good. You know, you'll achieve what you achieve, but if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen.
It's probably one of the best pieces of advice he's given. He's actually all the characters in Boogiepop Phantom are in the novels. So it's like when you have so it's like the scene where you see like Nagi and Kuroda talking in the hospital is actually a scene from 5 years previous.
Right. Because
So it's
then
like,
for the
yes.
rest of this, we don't see Nagi as a child.
No, Nagi is now like she's ending her high school career, so she's like 16, 17 years old. She's a young adult now.
Well, she's going to run a motorbike and seems to have some sort of purpose or mission.
You can get like in Japan, you can get a driving license. You can get a motorbike license at the age of 15, full driving license at the age of 16.
She's not driving a 125 though, unless that's different.
Well, oh no, she's driving a serious motorbike.
Yeah, she's driving like a flipping 600 or something. I mean, she's not playing about.
Was it 15? No, it's 15 when you can get your driving license. So.
Well, you can get it's over here 16. You can get your motorbike, but you're restricted to 125 until you're 21.
This is right. This is Nagi we're talking about. Then.
Yeah.
She's the resident bad girl, and we love her for it.
Yeah. So she's good around. Like honestly, that's why it's hard to pin her age, because of the machine she's going about in. It's like, yeah, she's got to be in her 30s.
Yeah, and also
20s, 30s.
Because of the art style, it doesn't matter if you're seeing her like 5 years in the past, present day, or 5 years in the future. She looks the same.
And that's what I'm saying about the confusing aspect of this. It's blending. It's like a foggy memory. That's what the series is making me think. I do believe that's a choice. I don't believe it's limitation of art style or anything. Excuse me.
Nothing in this show was done by accident. It's like it's like Studio Madhouse and the production group and like the author. They have sat in a room for a long time going over this entire thing with a fine-tooth comb to make it exactly as they want. They wanted it to be as close an experience to reading the book as they could possibly make it.
And we've watched something by Madhouse. But it wasn't Pet Shop of Horrors, was
it? By who, sorry?
We have already covered something by Madhouse.
Oh my God, Jesus! Madhouse, click, boink.
Yeah, I'm doing it now. What's?
Have a look.
Nobody.
God, they've done some good stuff. Boogiepop Phantom, Top of the Wind.
It is Pet Shop of Horrors. I thought that.
You can't hold that against them, though. I mean,
it's like like I said, I was wondering if they were taking a mic, but the actual book is worse. So they did a good job. They improved on it because that.
It's terrible. I'm just looking through like Madhouse's back catalogue now, and I'm going like, seen it.
Yeah, and you would cover something by Madhouse.
That's fantastic. Hopefully, we'll watch Parasite sometime because we've got to watch that and this. Boogiepop. They also did the spin-off Boogiepop. It's not a spin-off to this. It's like Boogiepop and Others. The other Boogiepop series is it's actually based on the volume 1 of the novel series. So it might actually make more sense instead of being like a standalone based off the novel series. So because it's actually Boogiepop Phantom does fill in some of the gaps and explains a few things that it doesn't explain in the books.
No, I'm tempted. See what the volumes are. Probably.
It's like right. If you try and find it on Kindle or something like that, because I kid you not, the only versions you can get now are the damn it, the compendium, book 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
4, 5, 6, compendium for omnibus 4, 5, 6. You'll be able to pick up for a tenner. Yeah, omnibus 1, 2, 3 is selling for about 200 quid.
Ow. That's like the flipping Judge Dredd compendiums, the omnibuses.
Mm.
They're like case files 2 and 4 are like out of print for some reason, and they're only available second hand for like 70, 80 quid, and you're like, nah.
That's the problem. The problem with Boogiepop, like I said, the problem with Boogiepop is it's not an easy read. It's a very complicated book.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, it's like they released the individual. They only released 6 volumes in the West. They released the individual volumes, and then they released the 2 omnibuses. But each one, they pretty much only did 1 print run each.
Once again, I don't understand why print and demand is not being utilized.
I know.
It doesn't cost anything.
Well, it's like they were released by the books were released by Seven Seas Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't checked, as far as I know, without checking into it, they still hold the distribution rights to the West, and they won't let go of them.
Okay.
Seven Seas, damn it, release them all. The world has changed. People are like these books now.
Shenanigans. That's a good thing though about, like, when these come out, it was DVDs.
Yes.
And it was only places like Virgin Megastores, that's where you got anime. Yeah, no, showing me age, but nowadays we can talk about this stuff. We can look up things and get a hint.
Oh God,
there's an opportunity here for I think past works. I don't know why they're wasting time. I know studios obviously need to be employed and doing stuff right now.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why there isn't more of a market for re-releases and reprints, or putting things in print on demand, and then just bringing old series to the zeitgeist that's already been created. The work's done; it's there.
I've no idea. It's just the way like anime and anime studios have always been. Sony, love you, Sony. Sony in particular, once Sony has released something, there's a very good chance you'll never see it again. It's why Sony is so against these dodgy grey websites. Even though these dodgy grey area websites like GoGo Anime, which is now gone forever, collect and store a huge back catalogue of anime that's going back 40, 50 years. But when the site is taken down and the server wiped, we lose that like anime history.
Yeah, it's basically an archiving service, but it's the business model that freaking screws everything up. And once again, it's stupid corporations and the drones who are the most unimaginative people. People that work, especially today in corporations, are not entrepreneurs.
No, they're not.
And because of that, like, they're civil servants. They're just corporate civil servants. There's no difference between them and a council worker who just puts their hours in and does, ticks boxes just to not get fired. There's really no difference between them. But these companies are losing out on stupid amounts of money, because when you bring something like this back into the zeitgeist, or it gets talked about, if it's sitting on a print on demand server, it's not costing anything apart from space. And then it gets a resurgence. So there you go. It gets printed off there and then and gets sold. And then it might fade away again, but then something else that was created. So it might have landed the first time. Do you remember back to the old model of cinema release, home rental release, DVD purchase release, TV? Yep. Like that's how. So if something maybe didn't do particularly well at the cinema, but then got picked up, the word of mouth got it later, or maybe give this one a go, and then it came out in home rental. People give it a shot. It gave the thing a second lease of life. They've completely burnt that out, on that side of things, because of corporate drones. So it's either it makes money at the cinema or bust now. That's it. End of story. And for example, tomorrow we're talking about Quatermass in the Pit.
Yeah.
That's currently available. Was it 40 or 50 quid for the box set now on John Gore Studios is taking over Hammer, and they're now re-releasing the box sets. of like the popular uh, Hammer movies.
Got to be honest, it's about time.
Well, it's it took John Gord like buy his studios to buy it and happen. There's something made 70 years ago, getting a new lease of life. And being relevant today. It's the work's already been done. It's been made. To me, there's no waste.
So I remember you were going. I remember you were doing Quatermass in the Pit. I couldn't remember when, so
It's tomorrow, yeah.
I actually watched it last night.
Yeah, I was watching it before. Again, I forgot how good that was. And the change in the actor for Quatermass is fantastic as well, because he's too caustic in the first two.
Yeah. He's kind of like he's I think whatever he's in, Quatermass is always a bit of an odd bird. But in like the first two Quatermass films, he just took it too far.
Well, because they had a Yank playing him as well, didn't help. But back to this, these things could get a new lease of life. Just have a bit of freaking common sense. Stop being so dogmatic.
I think one of the problems is, I think, the way that anime is made, because it's like this is Studio Madhouse, yeah. Studio Madhouse is one of several hundred studios, and there's more popping up like literally every day, which create anime. There's just a massive, huge paper chain behind every anime, because it's like there's the creators, there's the animators, they're the people who supplied the money, they're the people who are going to air it on television or are going to like print off the DVDs. It's ridiculously complicated for what it is, but it's one of the things that gives. Right, it's a very chaotic, very tangled system, but it's one of the things that gives anime the freedom to be what it is. I mean, because if you've got, excuse me, sorry, I was off with the chewing gum. It's like if you take one company and just do everything within that one company, you end up with Disney.
No, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm talking about independent studios.
I'm saying like this.
Have a major print and demand studio that all the other studios can basically do and get their commission. Similar to Amazon isn't even the only game in town now. That shows how much it's progressed. You've got lots of Amazon style print and demand studios that basically that's what you do. And like I said, there's an option there that when these things come back into the zeitgeist again, because things I guess never die. That's the thing.
Yeah. I'll cut to the chase of what I was working towards. It's like the problem is you've got all these different companies that are involved here. Every single one of them has to agree to something being re-released, and if one of them says no, it can't happen.
Yeah.
So there's this huge. It's kind of like there's this huge list of people who need to tick off, who need to like sign off on something. Say Boogiepop Phantom. I mean, it's like if you
that was originally released in Tokyo TV, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. Like if you go to Boogiepop Phantom and you read through it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, a studio. There's the licensees. There's like all the networks and everything. Every single one of them would have to sign off before it could be re-released. Because it's like I said, it's amazing. It's amazing that all the situation. It's amazing like the way it is put together. The amount of freedom that studios have and people have to create all these amazing anime that are like nothing you get in the West.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes it almost impossible to re-release them once they've gone.
Yeah, we don't want the Western. I'm not saying use the Western model because the Western model is shit. And it's destroyed art.
Like I say,
I'm not saying that because that's easy to prove. But
because like I said, if everything is in-house, then they're doing. If a company is doing everything in-house, you end up with Disney.
Yeah.
You lose the freedom. You lose the chaos.
And that's how you get new things and interesting things and off the wall things and
because it's like look,
niche market.
Right in this just this year, look at the things that have look at the things that have come out of like animation studios in the West. Yeah, and then look at the things that are coming out of the East. I include places like South Korea, Vietnam, China, because they're part of the anime industry as well.
Mhm.
And it's just like the amount of work that is coming out is absolutely mind blowing.
And that's the thing. That's why I like the idea of the grey area, because there needs to be an archiving, because the studios won't agree if they're anything like the West, the corporate drones. They're not just because they're idiots. They're just people that
I,
don't
I
deserve the frigging existence.
God,
Any
I agree
too
with
much
you.
power.
I agree with you 110%. I think we've discussed this before, and you said like they do it with books. Every time a new book or a new piece of music is created, it's archived somewhere.
Yeah, that's like the UK, for example. Every time we produce something, it goes to the British Library as an archive copy. So, like for example, Friday 13th just released Del Gibson's first debut anthology, Mistress of Darkness, Tales, Stories of the Macabre. So a copy of that goes to the British Library, and 5 copies goes to Scottish, Welsh, Irish libraries. So basically, I have to send off 6 copies.
Yeah.
1 to the main British Library, and then 5 to the Scottish Library, which then disseminates it between their libraries, if that makes sense. So there's basically 6 copies go into archive, so that there's a permanent record of it existing. And that's not including individual libraries that might want to order copies, if that makes sense. But just for it's put into law. You produce a book here, you send a copy, you send your 6 copies then to the libraries.
See, to me,
I don't mind that. It's an expense.
Yeah, it's an expense, but it's an expense that makes sense. It's like you have created something, and the thing that you have created is now going to be around forever, as long as that lasts.
Yeah, and
it's like
culture
then you get
is important.
Yeah, and then you get something like Boogiepop Phantom, which is it's pretty much the equivalent of like a bloke makes a film, and then after enough people have watched it, just kind of like chucks it into his garden shed and leaves it. Like the original of this will be out there somewhere.
That's Sir Peter Jackson's movie Forgotten Silver. Don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't.
It's actually a spoof comedy. And he basically made up this movie director who, it's hilarious. It's just it's Kiwi sense of humor, satire. But basically, they found the cinema reels in the back of a shed. And then this legend of a director who's done all this stuff and was involved in basically everything in filmmaking. And yeah, it's all a spoof, but it touches on the reality of that. And yeah, we don't have film reels anymore. The same things are hard drives and digital, but it's still the same principle.
Yeah.
Things degrade, something needs to be stored, a copy needs to be maintained. Because art is important. Culture. This is how we function as a society. This is how we don't go back to clubbing each other over the head with bricks or clubs, or live in caves again. This is how we progress. It's imagination that drives us forward, and that gets stimulated in so many different ways. And we've seen what's happened with the homogenization, the beigeness of the Disney model or the MC, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
People are literally drooling. Like the drool's coming out of their mouth because their brains are being shut off. You can see it happening. Like people, it's having a detrimental effect on society, and people are just evolving in front of our eyes. It's frightening.
Just the mention of the MCU is giving me pain.
Yeah, but that's the classic example where we do not want to go. That's we're watching it. That'll be studied in history, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like people will look back on this 50 years from now at this era and go, bloody hell, let's try and learn from it and never do it again.
How is mankind still going? How do we survive this?
It's always at the point of crisis. We have this knack of we'll have to get to the point of crisis before the correction happens. It's just a human condition. We'll be warned 100 times this is what's going to happen. We ignore it. It has to be every time throughout human history, the point of crisis where change happens. And then the next step, it's just part of us. And it's the same as why we need to preserve all this stuff, because we're seeing, every time I think we hit that point of crisis, we do get a bit better. It's just a strange journey, because we're a strange, complex, irrational creature.
Well, no, I am. I don't understand why these things, like why in Japan these things only get circulated. Right, they might do like a 10th anniversary release or a 25th anniversary release. So they're still out there, but that is the only time they will re-release anything like this.
Well, yes, we do that too.
Yeah, but we do like reprint DVDs and CDs and things like that, so they can be like new copies of it going into the shops for people to buy. I mean, a lot of anime releases in Japan are kind of like, right, we're releasing like this many thousand discs. If you miss it, you've missed your chance.
But I think print and demand is the future, because we're seeing that with DVDs as well. They're starting to embrace that sort of technology. So you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of copies in a warehouse somewhere.
I think print and demand is a great idea for everything.
Yeah, so have the setup, have the now the problem is then you get into homogenization in terms of you don't get your special editions.
Yeah.
So that needs that's a separate thing. But
I can imagine you could still have your special. I mean, I could think of it.
Yeah, you still have a supplemental, printing industry.
I'm looking at my book. I'm looking at my bookshelf. On the bottom shelves of my bookshelves, actually behind a load of books, there are rows and rows and rows of videos that I have not got rid of because you simply can't replace them with some other form of media.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's stuff. There's like stuff band there. There's like live action. There's anime on my shelves. You simply cannot get copies of them in anything. VHS was it. It's like they were around. They had their 5 minutes of fame and they died before DVD came. So the only media they were available in is VHS. I doubt any of them play anymore.
But it's there.
But I'm keeping them because it's like it's a copy of something that was great, something that I enjoyed. And if they started doing like print on demand for anime, I'd spend on my life savings.
But that's the one you would watch. That's the one you stick in the player. You keep the special edition. There's room for both, but everyone has become so literal-minded right now. There's either one or the other. There's only one solution. It's either A or B, 0 or 1. My side or your side, left or right, up or down. That's what's screwing us all right now.
Yeah, there's no. It's like we haven't got room to maneuver anymore.
And then that's why you can't problem solve. But back to this, that's this is something that could make a re-emergence.
I think if this was re-released now, there are way more people especially in the West. There are way more people in the West because of things like I don't know,
Marvel and DC disappearing up the reverse.
X-Files, Stranger Things, a few. There are so many series out there that this would remind people of.
Yeah, like I said,
there are way more people out there now who will enjoy this than there were when this first came out. Because it was a massive hit in Japan. It pretty much flopped when it came into the West because people just didn't. They couldn't grasp it.
We're right. It was ahead of its time. But we have and that's what I'm worried about this culture right now of everything devolving, because we got to the point where we expected more. We expect more from a series. We expect more from a movie. And everything's just wet the rat shit now. It's like too much on the grifters. There's too much pressure on the grifters who just want to exist in the world and get the accolades. So they have to dumb everything down so they can keep their nice jobs. And then talent is being literally squashed. You've seen it. Anyone that has actual genuine talent or has an off-the-wall idea or has something that's not going to be a 5-minute, popcorn flick, shiny lights, but has the potential. Like this is still as enjoyable to watch now. I suppose I'll get back to the point.
Yeah.
I'm still watching this fresh, even though it's been out for years.
So
And
it's like 25 years old now.
yeah, 25 years old, and I'm watching it as if it could have been made yesterday. If that makes sense. It feels like this could be made yesterday because it's a deliberate anime style. It doesn't feel aged. The themes are timeless.
I mean, there's it's like, but this anime style is actually sort of another one that is uses the same anime style is an anime called Witch Hunter Robin.
Mm-hmm.
It's another good anime, but it's just. Personally, I just want them to release the rest of the books. That'd make me happy.
Especially when doing like 20-odd volumes and not like 150 to catch up on this time.
It's especially the first volume was like 200 quid. Jesus.
Yeah, no. See, I'm not going to buy the 3. I'm not going to buy 3, 4, and 5. Or sorry, 4, 5, and 6 because if I can't get 1, 2, and 3 at a reasonable price, then
but it's like I say that each of the books is like a snapshot. So it's kind of weird because you can pick up halfway through one of the books. And after reading it for a bit, you've got a gist of what's going on because the book keeps bouncing about in the same way that the TV series does.
We'll meet the Doctor, and this is the first occasion we meet the Doctor. Who Hishashi's going to for therapy.
The Doctor is a bit creepy, isn't she?
Massively. Like, there's something straight away off with her. It gets revealed, even these first 6 episodes. But yeah, she's not a good one.
Okay, but nowhere does it actually. No, I'm going to spoil this for you. I'm sorry about this. It doesn't actually tell you what she's doing or why.
But she's doing something. She's doing something.
She's
connected to this.
Yeah,
she's connected to that white. She's connected to that light. We know, like from our first meeting, she's connected to this.
She seems quite nice, and she's talking to Hisashi. She just goes creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, yes. Would you like to try my special drugs? Uncrosses her legs, crosses them again. They're very special drugs, and not everyone can have them. ...
Sounds like an American doctor. I've been sponsored by this drugs company. Have a crack.
I'm pretty sure your medical insurance will cover it.
Yeah,
medical insurance. Get out.
So
The show is sponsored by Vitanol. She's just.
Yeah, there's weird. Instantly there's something off about her, and she's not. She doesn't have good intentions. It's like right.
She appears on and off in the rest of the series, which is interesting because I don't know if you'll have noticed this in one of the episodes you have watched up to press. You do actually see her die.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you. That was definitely her, not the nurse.
No, that was her, not the nurse. She gets killed by Boogiepop.
Okay, I wanted to once again. She gets animation style. I'm like,
it's great because it's kind of weird because like she gets killed, Boogiepop is there, but Nagi is there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do Nagi and Boogiepop like know each other? Do they work together? Is it like a Starsky and Hutch kind of thing between Boogiepop and Nagi?
It's this is all, like I said, it's all there's a whole storyline here, and we're all just getting fragments. This is only 2 episodes. We've been up for an hour and 2 episodes.
The Boogiepop, the show is a live action television series of Boogiepop, by the way. Boogiepop, all the series, all the books, it's basically a choose your own adventure book where you ignore the numbers on the page and just open at random. That's how it feels. I'm there for it. I love this series.
I like the way we see Hisashi denigrating this. He degenerate. We think he's a force for good. That he's actually like a sin eater. That's what I thought.
No,
he becomes an addict.
he's basically running around like grabbing ladies' boobs.
And blokes, because I
And
was going to put a note in until he
yeah,
grabbed the first bloke, and I'm like, all right, it's not just.
he kind of like he grips his dad's boob as well, which I think is just like plainly wrong in my opinion, because it's his father. I mean, it's his father. But yeah, it's.
But that makes sense. That's about where we get the reveal what this is, because
Mm.
obviously his mother passed,
Oh yeah, he's
father's
like
still grieving.
right.
They're
His mother was killed 5 years ago by a serial killer. Are you seeing a trend forming here?
I don't want to, because I get why. I understand the serial killer, even in these first 6 episodes, what it was, and that's where the doctor is connected.
Because I'm kind of like, but do you? It's the later episodes of Boogiepop Phantom have a lot of spins in them.
Right.
Some things will happen that will turn everything.
Okay, so with these first 6 episodes, I'm on a train of thought. Wait till we get to the end. I'll sort of I'll let you know where I'm at mentally with this.
Oh,
and then
God.
it'll be interesting when we do the, because obviously we've already
Okay, so you could do like the first 6 episodes, the second 6 episodes, and you could do a third one where you just spend like 6 hours just talking about Boogiepop and how it screwed you over and how you thought something was this when it was that.
Yeah, but is our audience ready for that? It just becomes the it becomes the Boogiepop Phantom show. Just
it's like, no, there should be we need like the world needs more Boogiepop.
This is something. This needs to reintroduce the world again. Like, it's fun. This, unlike Paranoia Agent,
yeah,
I'm finding this one fun to try and figure out.
It's kind of like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how this is going to be the like Jesus. I mean, double figures the amount of times I've watched. I mean, double figures the amount of time I've watched Boogiepop Phantom. But it's kind of like 25 years after its release, it still feels fresh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like, I got that straight away watching it.
Yeah, it's like even if you know the ins and outs of the plots, and I could tell you everything that's happening in these, everything that's going to happen in the next episode, everything that happens right up till the end of it. It's still enjoyable watching it. There's still things in there to find.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, this is Hisashi. He's basically become an addict. That's not what looked like he was. He thought he was taking away people's negative emotions or trauma.
Yeah.
And then he needs it. It becomes addictive.
He's got to eat bugs. Got to eat bugs.
The bugs are the manifestation of these painful memories.
Yeah, because it's like when his mother dies, you see his father kneeling in front of like the household shrine, because Buddhists, remember, kneeling in front of the household shrine, crying over the picture of his like his wife, Hisashi's mother. And then Hisashi just removes the bug, and then you get the scene where he's looking at he's taking the picture off the shrine, and he goes, Hisashi, who is this?
Yeah.
Who is this woman?
That's where he realizes eating memories as opposed to emotions.
But then
he's then addicted to them, so he's actually become a creature. He's become like a ghoul. He's.
It's like he's kind of like, but then he rationalizes it that these people, they're better off without these painful memories. He's still doing like a service by removing this pain from people.
But we need pain. I know it sounds really strange, but our bad memories, our negative experiences, what shapes us and makes us grow. Look at, once again, I'll look at today's culture. Look at the people who, it's quite obvious, are grown up with a silver spoon in their mouth and wrapped in cotton wool and have had no experience of hardship whatsoever in their life. They are the most poisonous, insufferable antagonists, because that's all they do, because they're bored.
Oh, God, yeah.
But the damage they cause, because they have had no real world experience, no struggle, no earning anything.
Yeah.
That's not even a class thing or what. There's people who have grown up in middle class families who have grown up into wealth, but have been raised properly and shown the importance. It's that whole father builds a company, son maintains it, grandson crashes the Ferrari into a lamppost drunk. It's that cycle, if that makes sense.
Yes.
That continues throughout time. You know what I mean? You've people that have been brought up with a work ethic that they know need to try. They've experienced hardship, know their own personal growth. We need that to remove. As much as I keep saying to myself, I'd love to go back. Regrets. I'd love to go back and have a do over. At the same time, my journey's my journey. I'm here. I wouldn't be here in front of this if I didn't have life experience.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are kind of like to go back and like redo this, but it's like the mistakes you make, the traumas you have growing up, are what make you the person you are now.
Yeah, and if I grew up and didn't have any, sidestepped every mistake or every setback, I wouldn't be here now as I am.
No, you'd be out there doing something else.
I would imagine it'd be lesser for not having those experiences, and we'll see examples of that today. So Hisashi basically trying to rationalize when he understands what he's doing, but he's already addicted to that point. It is a sad addict just making excuses, or a serial killer making excuses. They have a compulsion and they want to fulfill that compulsion, and they just want to rationalize it in their own head. And it stops being about doing anything good. And this is what he becomes. And this is where he will get the final encounter with him in Boogiepop Phantom. I just find that you popped off?
No, I'm here. Right. I was listening. I was listening.
All right.
I was agreeing with what you were saying.
Very connected. But yeah, we'll see that actually he's not in control of himself.
No, the bugs are. Which is
sorry.
It's a great sting, isn't it?
Like predatory bugs eating other. Once again, is this a metaphor or is this an entity? We don't quite know.
That is the question. You just have to wait and find out the answers.
Yeah, but what's just this is the one that sold me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Episode 2 is the one that brought me into this. Episode 1 made me go, huh? Episode 2 is the one that really brought me in. I think that's why I'm focusing on it, because it's this set the scene of this is where this story's going. This is where you have this is how it bounces back at the parts of the story. It's all connected and makes sense.
Like I've said, 1 is too much because there's no context for anything. It's like you sit. It's like you're sitting there, you're walking along on a warm summer's day. Someone just throws a bucket of ice cold water in your face. It's like it doesn't give you time to react. But it's like every single episode, the other 11 episodes of this series are masterpieces. Every single one of them.
And that's a lot of work. See, to bring back, like we've seen it fail so many times. I'll go back to the Alien universe. They're kind of completely fucking that up.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the storytelling ability. So they're overwriting the original. They're actually overwriting the good ones at this point.
Yeah.
And 5 years' time, it's fucking dead. It's already dead now, in my opinion.
I'd say it's like what? Alien Earth. In 5 years' time, Alien Earth, nobody will remember it.
But they'll have destroyed, and pretty much like Star Wars did, they'll have destroyed the originals.
Yeah, it's because Star Wars. It's just pap. Apologies to the people who love Star Wars, but it's.
I don't. You're an idiot. If you still love Star Wars at this stage, you're a moron.
It's pap. Because it's like the original trilogy was good. The prequels terrible. Then you've got the sequels. Then you've got the sequels that are prequels and the prequels that are sequels.
Have you seen the
that's where I'm getting this from.
Oh my god, that was so nail on the head.
The
movie industry. I'm like
the bit that made me laugh on that is the bit at the end where it goes, and Oppenheimer. I've got to be honest. Like normally, when it's a sequel, I'm like, "Oh, not a sequel." Well, sequels are never as good as the originals. somewhat excited for Spaceballs 2.
Mel Brooks hasn't changed a bit. He's always been an outsider.
Oh, he's a
He's
strange
always been that
strange old
poking at
chap,
the
but we
Hollywood
love him
industry.
for it. I am actually, it's like I am actually excited just because of the fact it's been so long. And that trailer, I am so looking forward to Spaceballs 2.
Yeah, it's just like, you win. But he summarized, that trailer just summarized the movie industry and the shit state that it's in.
That's it. It's
And
in that time we have had like it's like 2 avatars, but there's 3 more coming. So 5 avatars and Star Wars and this and that and the other, and an entire television channel for Star Trek.
yeah,
And it's like he's not wrong. And the longer you read the list, the more depressing it got.
yeah, especially we got the alien, like that just had the nail on the head. You're like, yeah, you're saying what we all think and we'll all be talking about, and that people have been cancelled for saying because the studios went after them.
7 alien films. Well, okay, 5 alien films. 2 of them are Predator, but then we've got like 9 Predator films.
But 2 of them are alien films.
2 of them are alien films. It's like,
and Prometheus, which is sort of an alien film, but
yeah, and Oppenheimer. And I'm like, I've got to be honest. Apart from maybe
yeah,
like the few earlier films, the best film on that list was Oppenheimer.
But this is right. So Alien's an example where they're getting it completely wrong, like they're tripping over themselves. Yeah, this is where you're getting it right. You're getting the whole thing's connected. Somebody's went over the storyline. They've revised that. They've made sure it fits, so that you're getting the right pieces. It's not being wasted.
Yeah, you know, I think Chris would like Boogiepop Phantom.
Yeah, but once again, it's just had to warn people. It's not a casual view. You have to be there and present and paying attention.
The first episode, right? The first episode.
Get past the first episode. Right. Episode 2 brings you in.
The first episode has all of the answers, but none of the questions you need to understand them.
Yep.
The answers the questions that are answered in the first episode don't actually appear anywhere in the rest of the series. No, that's not true. A few of them do, but because that is like the first episode is the hook from the book series into Boogiepop Phantom.
Now, episode 3 is a real head scratcher. Life can be so nice. So we'll meet Karami again. She's involved in this.
The main thing you take away from this one is that love is universal. According to Panuru.
But Panuru is a concept personified or an alter ego or somebody that was murdered or we don't quite know. This is the one. If this had been episode 2, I'd have been out.
Right, let me get like you say.
I needed episode 2 to happen.
Episode 2.
This one, fucking hell.
Episode 2 hooked you. Episode 3 made you question your life choices in thinking episode 2 was amazing. Because it is so far out. Like Panuru was actually a friend of Mizuzo's. Yeah. She died. Can you guess when she died? Can you guess when she died?
Would that have been 5 years ago?
My God, that was a good guess.
Yeah.
Right. For new viewers,
was she a victim of the serial killer?
Oddly enough, she was a victim of a serial killer. Right, in the timeline of this story, 5 years before the current events, there is a spate of serial killings in which a number of people died. Most of the people who died are actually featured in like the backstories of the various episodes.
Here's my next question.
Yeah.
Did Panuru visit the doctor?
I'm not going to answer that.
You see where I'm going?
Yeah. It's like back in episode 2, yeah. Nagy was at the hospital talking to that detective, yeah.
Mhm.
Was Nagi seeing that doctor? Oh, Colin's thinking now.
There's something else about Maggie.
Mm,
There's something else about her.
mm.
And obviously, I've seen the thing Fair Witch, but I don't know if it actually means she's a witch
Fire,
or
like,
that's
Fire Witch is a name. I'm going to say the Fire Witch. Fire Witch isn't actually mentioned in Boogiepop Phantom. It's from the books.
like I said. It was just when I was getting the
Mm.
thing of the characters. I'm like, okay, but I haven't seen any hints of this yet. Like, she's there, but she's not featured the way I was expecting due to her description. But yeah, we'll have all this going on. So Yoko was Mizuzu's friend, is that right?
Yes.
And it's not Hishashi. This is where once again the bloody drawing of this makes it. I thought Hisashi was making another appearance, but it's not. It's Junichi this time.
Oh, the bit that is this the bit at the end?
Yes, but it's irrelevant because Yoko is, one of the current victims, not the 5 years ago victims of
yes.
what's happening now. It's a similar phenomenon to what we just seen in episode 2 with Hisashi, but it's not his story carrying on now. His story's done.
Yes, his story is
His little story arc's done, but it's not over because there's other things going on that makes you think, oh, is this not just a
like here's a terrible analogy. Every single episode is a rock being chucked into a pond. The more episodes you watch, the more ripples there are going to be.
Yeah, I can see that.
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And so we've got Mizuzu going through, and our friend Panaru is appearing and disappearing. And at this point, we don't know, is she a memory? Is she an imaginary friend? Is she an alter ego?
I love it. I love it when I love it when Zuzo is kind of like there and she's going like, I believe in love, I believe in friendship. And this voice just comes up from behind, liar. She turns around, the original Panaru. The original Panaru is like sitting there with like a very nice axe wound in the top of her head.
Yeah, they're like eyeballs, like sort of half hanging out and stuff.
Eyeballs hanging out and brain dripping off her chin. It is. If they'd have done it slightly differently, it would have made a great jump scare.
That's the only thing about anime tends to hold that back. It doesn't go full horror, but there's loads of horror in it.
It's a very kind of it's not like physical horror. It's a very psychological kind of horror.
And that's a theme I've noticed since we started this series.
Yeah, there isn't much. It's like there are very few jump scares. But Japanese horror is like vastly different. I mean, Japanese horror is all kind of like about the the ghost, the ghost that lives under the house, that kind of thing. The evil spirit that it lives.
If you look at Ringu and The Grudge,
yeah,
you see that it's a completely different atmosphere. And I appreciate it. Once again, I don't expect everything to be beige, bloody slasher movie.
It is
jump scares.
It's nice to have something different.
And one thing that I've noticed with the horror anime, it's very much bending reality. That's their theme. It's that, is it real? Is it a dream? What's actually happening? And that's frightening. Like, if they lose your grip on reality, to not know whether you're day, night, whether you're actually in the moment or in a memory or awake or asleep.
Yeah.
There's studies done on that. People, Event Horizon is a brilliant example. A movie that shows that people lose their grip on reality and just that's it. The goat's absolutely psychotic. It's a mind-breaking thing. It's pure horror. We devolve into creatures, not even animals, but creatures when we can't. We just don't know the basics of is left, right, up, down. You know, once you take that away and start messing with people, uh, we're seeing it happening right now. That people have done that. Just with that much stuff out there, you don't know what's fact, fiction, or being told to you just to mess with your head. If it's actually parody or truth, this is why people at the moment are so anxious.
Yeah,
because you remove that stability, and you fall apart. This episode, this persona, that just shows us, you know.
Boogiepop in general does that very well.
But I think this episode, this is the one that really makes you go, what the hell? And Mizuzu's journey is, you know, she's dealing with something, and it's almost like she's trying to figure this out in her own head while she's trying to function as a human being in school. But then the scene in the train, is that where Satomi manifests again?
Yes.
So straight away I'm thinking, hold on, Satomi was killed.
Yeah, he manifests. He manifests. He manifests as kind of like an electrical entity, because it's like it comes in through the roof of the train like a shadow.
Yeah.
And then just kind of morphs into Satomi.
But we see him in the first episode, and he gets destroyed by Boogiepop. So the first episode isn't linear. That's what I'm straight away going, but hold on a minute. So has the first episode taken place later on when Boogiepop finally catches up with Satomi? And is this one of Satomi's encounters, or why Boogiepop was chasing him?
You'll just have to watch and find out.
Do you know what I'm saying? This is why this is the mind bender of
it is. It's like this is Boogiepop Phantom is full of that though. It's full of, there's so many little bits and pieces in it that will make you question what you've seen before and doubt your interpretation of it.
Yeah, because I'm straight away going, hold on, so that's the end of a story being told, and now we're going back to the beginning. And once again, this is all back to 5 years ago, and
this mysterious serial killer.
Yep, who we actually meet in this episode.
Yes, kind of.
Yeah. But we've also got the fact that Mizuzu is now connected to Satomi and almost acting as an agent for him or something. Like, this gets really... And then you start to go, did she kill Panerai?
You
start to, I know it gets revealed, but I'm just saying, you start asking these questions.
I say at the time, without any of the knowledge you get from the next 2 episodes, yes.
Yeah, that's the sort of track you're on, and then it gets derailed. And then you start to question, okay, is the stuff in this episode, is this all currently happening now, present tense, in the storyline, and everything in the schools that were flashbacks?
That's a good question.
And then it's back to, okay, so where does the light beam and the blackout happen? Where does it sort of fit into this? Because we know that we've got a definite timeline of 5 years previous.
Yes.
For the serial, so we've got a definite point in time. The serial killings happen.
If you remember, right, this is useless for 3. But if you remember back in episode 2, Light in the Darkness, Hisashi gets his ability to see bugs after that big particle of light flies through him.
Yes, that's right. It awakens his ability.
Yeah, it awakens his ability. He is, let's say he's removed by Boogiepop about a month after the beam of light.
Right.
Because there are a few things in different episodes where it actually states like, do you remember that beam of light that was such and such a thing? Or you'll go through the episode and then you'll see the beam of light right at the end of it. because that is the timestamp that allows you to like arrange the events that are happening in some kind of order, and you will get it wrong. I guarantee it.
Yeah, because it messes with you. It deliberately comes in. Like, this is, to me, episode 3 is the most. Because you're paying attention, you're understanding they're playing with time, but it messes with you.
Yeah, it's like each episode is kind of like each episode of its own self-contained story, but is also a snapshot on a timeline.
Yep.
But the thing is, it's like instead of like saying like episode 1 at the beginning, episode 2 is at the middle, episode 3 is towards the end. Someone's dropped the tapes. Someone's like they've shuffled the cards and then like put them out in any order. So it's like episode 1 is at the beginning, episode 2 is about midway through, episode 3 is kind of like close to the beginning than episode 2 was.
But this also makes sense if you're taking it from point of view characters. Your point of view and your memories are going to be different. Mine are going to be different from yours, and people. I mean, each one of us has different because with different points in our life that impacted us more, or different events impacted us more than others. And that's kind of how this is going. I see that. So Mizuzu obviously has a different focus. Or things are important to her. Satomi's a different, his life events have shaped him.
His life events have taken a considerable turn for the worse.
But considering the fact he was involved 5 years ago, was he a victim of the serial killer or did something else happen to him? And is that related to... Because Asushi is directly related to the events in the tower with the baby light and the blackout.
Yeah.
Satomi is directly related to the events of the serial killer, but was I? Did something else happen to him that just happened to be at the time? So he just happened to have went missing during the time of the serial killings, but he may not have been a victim of the serial killer. That's what I'm thinking. And he may be connected to the tower. So the two main events of the tower and the serial killings. But we don't know how long the tower events have been going on for. They could be going on. Well, actually, we sort of do, because the serial killings are related to the tower. But we don't know how long the tower's been going on. But Satomi, we don't know at this point. He went missing 5 years ago, but he may not have been killed. Am I on the right path?
So I can't really answer that question. You just have to have to watch the rest of it. Trust me. If I answered that question, it would.
But do you see how I'm thinking about this? How this episode just makes you just question everything you've seen so far and what's going to happen in the future.
It's like I say, the best way to sit and watch this is with a notepad, so you can write notes.
That's what the notes are. You can't see where the notes are.
If you stand and watch this, you'd end up with like in those detective dramas, where they've got like the wall with all the pieces of papers and the coloured strings.
Yeah,
that is Boogiepop Phantom.
And you notice I've used the highlighter this time for the character names. General. I mean, that's how bad we've got the highlighter out when I'm doing the notes. And if we could draw bits of strings, this would be like a conspiracy board thing.
So you don't need notes. You need a flow chart.
The problem is the flow chart doesn't go like that. The flow chart goes.
It's one of the reasons I love Boogiepop Phantom. Like I say, Boogiepop Phantom's been out 25 years. Even now, when I watch it, there's new stuff to see in it.
That's good storytelling.
There's new ideas to pick up on. There's new strings to follow. It's awesome.
The reveal of this episode.
There's kind of like there's like the lead in to the next one. There's the lead into the next episode
with the scene in the street with the guy which is
just weird.
Yeah. but it's not related. Mizuzu's just there.
Yeah, because it's like,
So it's not actually directly involving her. She just happened to be on the street at the time.
it's still better than "Do you know you've got a bug in your heart?"
Oh
Which
yeah,
is,
that's
which is still the weirdest chat-up line I've ever heard.
but once again, Asashi's story that made sense. That random encounter in the first episode, like, where the hell is this coming from?
Yeah, there's a lot less sense in Light and Darkness.
Yeah,
Not Life is Dark and Light and Darkness. Life can be so nice.
yeah.
You
It feels like this is the one that's trying to let you like throw all the spider webs out there and show
Yeah.
you that they're connected and putting it all together. But it's just been spun now, and you're like, whoa.
It's just the fact that it's like Mizuzu's walking around going like, life is there to be loved. Even if things are bad, you must show love because everyone needs love and love is there for everyone. You just kind of like, she's not going to get out of this well.
No, and that's when we find out that she's actually a spirit or something, and she's the one that's being hunted by Boogiepop Phantom. That she's partly responsible for. God, I forget the actual bit. But that's where they end up in the building because she's actually. What was she doing? Well, how do we get that reveal again? It was in the building. She goes into the abandoned building, and she finally realizes that Penry is dead.
Oh yeah, what's it? She it's like they're there together and they're talking. I can't remember exactly what they say, but she kind of like turns around and opens her mouth, and that weird little tentacle thing pops out.
I can't remember who she was. It was just somebody random, wasn't it? She was going to try.
It was. I don't think they actually gave you the name of the girl she was walking around with.
Yeah, it was just going to be one of her victims. But the fact that Boogiepop Phantom says you're not even worth taking.
It's a bit. She's like, that's it. Take me as well. You're not even worth taking. The look on her face. It's like, ooh. Boogiepop has all the best lines.
And then that's where we find out. Because who was that was another girl, wasn't it? Ends up in the backseat of the police car.
What? No, that was Mizuzu.
Was that Mizuzu? Oh, right. So
Mizuzu ends up in the back of the police car, but not anybody watching this thinks she ends up in the back of the police car.
And then this isn't 5 years ago. This is in the present, so it's like the serial killer's been activated again.
It's current.
Yes. So after his 5-year break, the serial killer who is a police officer has been activated. God, this is proper, like flipping. Yeah, you need to watch this more than once. And it happens at such a pace as well, because these are only like 23-minute episodes.
That's it. They're just regular, including opening and ending credit. They're 24 and a half minutes long.
Yep.
Right. So it's like if there's a lot to you've got to admit, at some paces it does feel like the story is being rushed.
Yeah, you're barely hanging on.
Just because it's just because of the sheer amount of information it is trying to like feed you through your eyeballs. But it's like let's just say Mizuzu comes to a bad end, and it's like if you actually listen to that attack, that is one hell of an attack she goes through.
I just can't. I can't understand why he hasn't thrown any plastic down.
Why? What? Sorry.
He didn't put any plastic down the back of his car.
He probably licks it clean.
Because, yeah, that's going to stain the upholstery.
But it's just Mizuzu gets ripped to shreds. Some top quality sound effects. But wow.
And then, so that takes us into My Fair Lady, which I thought was a bit of a strange episode.
The main character was definitely strange.
It's you're wondering what these demons are, or what this realm has.
Right,
And we're back to the tower again. Did the tower open a rip? And
I could, damn it, I could tell you everything, but
I know you could, but I'm going through this as
spoil the fuck. Right, you give me your ideas, and I just won't answer.
That's what I said at the start of this. What I'm going to try and do is
sure.
work my way through episode by episode, and then by the end, that's where I think the plot's going. And then when we do the second part of the review, was it right, or did I get led along the path properly as it's meant to?
I guarantee you'll turn around and say, "Well, I didn't see that coming."
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah,
so we meet Yuji, who is creepy as fuck. He's like,
he's the type of guy that your mother warned you about.
Or you see outside of primary school and you call the police.
He's got like stranger danger written all over him.
Absolutely, and
he's a 2D hero playing his computer dating games and falling in love with the pixel art. You know, it's not healthy. It's not healthy.
Here, do you know what's funny about this? This is set in its time of the MSN message boards and Yahoo message boards, and this stuff was going on back then.
You notice that most of the characters, when they're on mobile phones, it's like 3310s. It's like video is still a thing in this timeline.
Yeah, but this was, I can place this definitely 25 years ago in that.
Yeah,
it was the Wild West. However, this is also relevant today because you swap MSN message boards and remember the chat bubble things that got taken down because it was fucking all the pedos. Yes. It was bad, right? But you swap that with AI today, and there's no difference here.
It's like I think younger people who watch this definitely wouldn't understand it the way we understand it, having lived through that era.
It was bad.
But it was good as well. It was good.
But it's once again, it's like any pioneering technology or thing. Like the same thing was being like the same warnings were talked about back then as they are now with AI.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same behavior. It's the same people. It's funny how we're so different, but we're the same.
Right now. You've the first thing you've written on the parts of this is like, are the girls buying some form of popper? Yeah. Type S, the drug, that they're into, isn't explained anywhere in this. See, this is one of those things where it's like it gets all the coverage in the novels, but because it's like it's instrumental to the plot of a few of them. But it's assumed that you already know about it here.
Yeah, but what I do discover with Type S is obviously it's not mortal or off this world, and it's definitely related to the Tower. It's a product of the Tower or something that's been released by the Tower.
Right. I will inform you of this one little piece of information that it hints at here. Sir Tommy is making it.
Right.
Because
that's okay. So he wasn't killed. He disappeared 5 years previously. Right. He's not the serial killer, and he wasn't killed by the serial killer.
He's the guy who's standing in the alleyway with the girl with the white lipstick.
I could not, once again, because of the way he's drawn, I couldn't. Once again, their facial features, because they're so similar. Because he's wearing a jacket and he's not in his uniform. But that wasn't the Satomi that was killed by Boogiepop in that form.
I'm going to have to speak with my lawyer before I can answer that question.
Do you know why the first episode messes with you?
Yeah. Right. I can tell you the girl with the white lipstick's name is Minako. Her name will never be mentioned in Boogiepop Phantom
Right.
because she is one of the characters that has a bigger part in the novels. See what I mean? It's like in order to understand everything in Boogiepop Phantom, you've got to have read the books.
I can see that.
But in its own way, the fact that, like I say, you can't get the books is like so much more fun. 'Cause it enables you to come up with all these ideas and all these like concepts of yourself, and then you just kind of get to tick them off or cross them out as you go through the series.
Yeah, but I'm coming to this, obviously I'm coming to this as experiencing this as its own entity,
Mm.
which, let's be honest, that's what's kind of the expectation. If you're picking up something, a movie or a series,
Mm.
you're not expected to have read 20 books.
No.
So
But it's kind of like picking up book 2 of a series and then reading it and thinking, oh, I enjoyed that, and then going out and buying book 1, which I may have done a few times.
that's what annoys me about fantasy series is because everything's done in trilogies, and the first trilogy links to the back trilogy, so you don't you can't just pick up a book. You have to like go right back to square one because you've no context in it. It's annoying. I'm taking this in its own way that it's going to get explained to me in its own contained universe.
Yeah. It's like towards the end, a good 70% of what's happening in this series will be explained to you.
Right.
If you really want to know what the other 30 is, I'll tell you.
Right. So that'll be for the next streams discussion, if that makes sense.
Yep, no problem.
I'm taking this in if it doesn't get explained, you don't get a satisfying ending. It hasn't done its job. The books should then, if you want to delve deeper into the universe, and this is where I come from a storytelling perspective. I'm expecting to be putting the pieces together, and it'd be right or wrong, but I'm enjoying the journey, right?
Yeah.
If I end up at the end of this, like Paranoia Agent, I was not satisfied.
No, I understand that. It's like Paranoia. This is way better than Paranoia.
Yeah, I can see it already, but
Paranoia Agent doesn't really explain anything and just leaves you guessing everything.
And that's not good. That's not good storytelling. And that's where you go into the artsy-fartsy sort of department.
Yes.
This is the feelings and emotions and blah blah blah. No, that's not storytelling.
It's like fans of Boogiepop Phantom just turn around and say Boogiepop Phantom is a really good. You should watch it. Fans of Paranoia Agent like, oh darling, it's without that the best anime you'll ever watch.
Yeah.
Caviar.
And I'm like, no, that's not me.
Yeah, it's Paranoia Agent is considered to be one of the greatest anime ever by a certain group of people, or if you tell them it isn't, they will probably like set the law on you or cry.
No, not interested.
Boogiepop Phantom is just a bloody good series.
So this, I should be expecting at the end of this to be interested in reading the books, but being satisfied by this storyline.
Yeah, I think so. It was watching this that made me want to read books.
Yeah, so that's the experience I'm hoping to get from this. I'm going through, like I said, I'm already forming. My opinions that have formed from episode 1 and 2 are now being challenged. In episode 3 and now in the episode 4, I'm being challenged again because the timeline's just.
This is good. This is keeping the mind awake. This is keeping people invested and interested to find out what happens next. Can you imagine when it's on television? When this was shown on television, when you only got one episode a week?
Yeah, that's not good.
I picked up the I picked up the DVDs of this. I binged it in one night.
I was tempted. I'll not lie.
And then I went back and just watched it like one episode at a time. And it's kind of like watching it one episode at a time does actually give you like more time to kind of like formulate your ideas.
Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is I sort of binged through I was going to do it over 2 nights.
Yeah.
And then that didn't happen.
It is.
I just got sucked in.
Well, it is one of those series where it's better to just watch a couple of times and then take a break. I watched it over 3 nights.
Yeah, no, I could not.
But that was mainly because like, I'd get my tablet, I'd pop my tablet up, and I'd sit there watching it and fall asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I had to go on. And it was like I said, I was so tempted after 6
just to carry on with the
to
rest
carry
of
on, but I'd stopped myself.
Right,
Because-
because we're I've got to be honest. I'm going to be honest because we're doing them in like 2 groups of 6. If you'd have watched all of it, it would totally have ruined tonight.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't want to do.
You'd have all the answers.
Yeah.
Well, most of the answers.
So for everyone, I'd say there's obviously people watching. I would strongly recommend. We've already the next stream scheduled for part 2 of this. I strongly recommend you get on board and then join in the discussion. This is one that definitely you want to check out. It is such a head twister. It's so much fun to try and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like this. I find this stuff fun. I like to be challenged. I don't like everything cookie cutter. I hate knowing exactly how a story's going to end. It's boring.
There are just so many twists and turns and knots and dead ends in this story.
And you feel like there's about 50 characters you're having to keep track of, but really there's 5.
Yeah, there is like literally you can you can count them. You can count the main characters on one hand because it's like Mizuzo. Mizuzo in My Fair Lady. She has served her purpose.
Yep.
It's like Isashi in Light and Darkness.
Aboto in episode 1.
He served his purpose. What that purpose is hasn't even been hinted at. Well, no, the purpose has been hinted at, but it hasn't been set in stone yet.
Yep.
And until it is set in stone, you can't be certain about it.
Yep. So the main characters are Karimi, Satomi, Boogiepop Phantom, the Doctor, and the serial killer. These are the ones now realizing and actually thinking back on this. They're the ones that you need to be watching.
I'm just pushing my keyboard in. I just need to cross my legs and fold my arms. Is that what you think?
Now, at the moment, yes. Like I said, this is what I'm.
This is it.
This could change.
It's like nope. Undo that string. Rip that bit off the wall. Put a new one in there.
But I'm only realizing now that these are the ones I need to be really paying attention on. It's like moving. It's like somebody doing sleight of hand with a deck of cards.
Yeah, it's like
or doing the ball. You know, the 3 cups in the ball. This is
really
what I feel like this is doing to me.
See, so I can see what this person's going to do. Oh, squirrel! You know, there's a lot going on in the back. There's a lot. It doesn't feel like it, but there's a lot of distraction going on.
No, it does feel like it. Trust me. I feel like I'm being messed with. And I feel like it's been done on purpose to keep me off the track.
That is one of the things I love about this. It's one of the things I love about is the fact that Japanese horror, like not all of it, a lot of Japanese horror is like more psychological, more brain engaging than Western horror tends to be. It's one of the things I absolutely love about it. It'll give you a headache. It'll give you a headache. You'll definitely need a cup of tea after you finish watching it, but after we finish this, I'm just going to binge. After we finish this and we finish talking about it, I'm going to like.
I'll go back on this.
After we finish section 2, I'm just totally going to go just like binge the entire thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely going back on this. And actually, before I watch the next episode, I'll go back to these first 6.
Right.
But anyway, Yoji he's an effect of the cause.
He is.
He's the sort of person that's got roped into. Right, he's having trouble. He's not doing well at school. He's having trouble discerning fantasy from reality. He's a creep. He's somebody that needs to be in a padded cell.
He's the kind of guy you'd expect draws quite a lot.
Yeah. And
he's just like low. He's not doing. You can tell he's not doing well at school because his dad's always screaming at him that he just wants him to get into a state university. It doesn't have to be a posh university. We're not aiming for Tokyo university. Any university will do.
Just do it.
Which is I've got to be honest, is a pretty common thing, because Japanese society is all about success. So you want your kid to do the best you can do at like middle school, so he can get into a really good high school, so he can get into a good college, so he can get into a really good university, so he can get the best job he possibly can, so he can look after his parents in their old age. It's Japan is again been voted the most stressful country in the world. It also has the highest suicide rate in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, I enjoy the art, I enjoy some of the culture, but I would not like the lifestyle.
No,
Like, I'm not that blinkered, as in I can understand. But then that's why we get this sort of art. You need that sort of pressure cooker to produce this sort of art.
There is
you can tell a lot about a culture from its art.
Yeah. There's a genre of anime called slice of life, which is basically nice, slow, relaxing, fluffy stories, so that after you've been screamed at for your boss for 8 hours, and then you've done like 4 hours of unpaid overtime, missed the last train and had to walk home, you can flop down in front of it and you've got this cute, fluffy anime about a bunch of high school girls going camping in the middle of winter. All right.
I think you mentioned that before. It makes perfect sense.
You can. It's great. There's a sub-genre of that, which is called Isekai. Isekai does not have an English translation. There is no English translation for the word Isekai. We call it food for the soul, because it's the kind of stuff you just sit down and watch, and it will fix your soul after a day at work. I'm a massive fan of it.
That kind of makes sense.
It's like why you have all these like super violent, super bloody anime like Fist of the North Star with people punching each other and heads exploding and guts everywhere. Because you need some form of emotional release at the end of your day.
Well, back to what I'm saying, art is reflective of culture. It's we're seeing a reflection of culture now. Why art is busy dead. It's become there's something wrong, and everybody feels it, and it's coming out, and blah blah blah. This is one of the more deeper questioning society and questioning reality, and just good. Once again, just good storytelling. But Yoji is just creepy. He's fixated on a young girl who's lied about her age to get a part-time job.
Yeah.
So he's basically a pedo.
Right. And for people who want to get a part-time job in Japan, you have to be at least 15 years old.
So that gives you this guy.
So this girl says she's in middle school and she's getting to do the exams to go to high school. So she's what? 14 at the oldest. She's 14 basically.
Yeah.
This guy's fixating on her in a creepy way.
Yeah, and he's young adult, and
she looks a bit like a character in a cartoon game. Yeah, he's like towards the end.
He's effectively building an AI model.
That is so messed up. That is so messed up. I'm sorry, but Jesus. Yeah, he's literally. He's
child porn, essentially. This is something that can't be in society.
He's literally taking the character in his game and he's turning it into this girl he's met at work in his part-time job. And he's taking the girl he's met in his part-time job and he's slowly using the fact that he knows that she's too young to be working there, blackmailing her into becoming the character from his game.
And it's fucking creepy. I had to go and wash after this one. I had to go through water around my face and this is where I took a pause because this
is one of those episodes where after you finish watching it, or maybe halfway through, you have to pause it and go and clean your teeth.
Yeah, that was I was like fucking washing my face and stuff, and I need a break before I get back into these other 2 episodes because it's like
Yoji is so creepy, so slimy. You can taste it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is I've got to be quite honest. What a great imagine any of the cartoon studios, cartoon houses in the West building a character like that.
But couldn't they be afraid to do it? But this is the purpose of horror, right? You need to see people like that. People like us exist.
Yeah.
And this is the danger of the fluffy,
Yeah.
sanitized society, is that you don't horror stories prime people for danger.
Yes.
Horror stories are a warning.
I
That
mean,
is the purpose of horror. That's at its core is what horror does. It primes. I mean, that's why young people are told horror stories and scary stories and campfire tales. Basically, don't go into the woods because you're going to get eaten by something or
that's it. I
snatched.
mean,
Don't go down the dark alley because blah blah blah.
it's like the original fairy stories before they were sanitized were absolutely horrific.
But that was the purpose of them. To get in the zeitgeist that there's danger out there. That's how you tell people. Rather than having half your tribe wiped out by bobcats, this is how you warn people, or by wild boar, or by the other tribe kidnapping your young folk, or eating them, or sacrificing them to their gods in a pagan ritual. That's the point of horror stories, is like, don't do that because scary monster. As we said, we were present during the time of the MSN chat boards.
Yeah.
Fucking creepy. At 14, 15 years of age, creepy bastards were trying to get stuff off you. It happened. There were yojis out there in the world.
Yeah.
They still are. They haven't went away. They exist. They're part of reality. By denying that reality is leaving yourself open for danger.
Like I say, this is right. This is this anime. This anime is 2000. It's 25 years old. It's over 20. It's over 25 and a half years old now. It's set during its era when all this was still, like I was saying.
But don't forget, the MSN chat, I think by that stage they'd already been banned, because I was an adult, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
I
grew up.
I remember them being banned, but I couldn't tell you.
I was like 13, 14 when I first encountered the internet. Like in its infancy. I've been through not even 28 kilobytes. I was there at 14 kilobytes a second dial-up internet. I remember 28.8 being the upgrade. This isn't even getting into ISDN cables. This is how my journey of
taking like 4 hours to download a GIF, and you click on the GIF and it's a cat playing with a ball. I remember the good old days.
Unreal Tournament was the game changer back in the day.
Unreal Tournament.
That was the this isn't even broadband. This is ISDN cabling and still dial-up connection of special order internet, not available for public.
Actually, this is Yoji. Yeah, how rich are Yoji's parents? He's got like a PC in his bedroom.
Yeah, he is a privileged kid that's experienced no hardship. He's the manifestation of the toxic individual that we see today, who has experienced no hardship.
It's probably a top of the range Pentium as well. Not Pentium 2. I don't think they were around then.
Yeah, he has that. We've all met those kids.
Yeah.
I went to further education, technical college.
Yeah.
To do my A levels because I did not want to go back to school. And we met those kids that are still there at 19 years of age, not passing their A levels. They've resat for the 4th or 5th time.
Wow.
And their parents are just keeping them there as long as they can until they have to face reality that they do something with their kid.
I think the PC, I look at that, actually, I look at that PC in his bedroom as a sign of how serious his dad is that he wants him to get into university. Have this PC, go and study in your bedroom. Whatever you do, don't start playing those weird dating games. Oh, no.
Probably doesn't even realize, just got him at the...
It's like, as soon as you put the disc in, it's like, oh, we know which way this is going.
Yeah, well, we've all met those kids. They're the ones that got you the drugs and stuff. They're the ones that the parents just handed them money and had no concept. And they're the ones that,
I had to buy my first PC myself.
No, my mum, I got mine in hire purchase.
I got
it. Before I bought a car, I took out hire purchase. My mum helped me on a PC.
Hire purchase, right. This is how noob I was when I bought my first PC. Yeah, I bought it from PC World.
Granada.
It lasted right.
Do you remember Granada?
Right,
the stores.
God, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how. Yeah, I'm not.
My second PC I bought from Alienware. I actually brought an Alienware PC. I've got to be honest, it's rubbish.
Yeah, it's just a brand name. It was,
Ever since that, I've just bought. But the computer I'm using at the moment. It's a Hewlett Packard HP. I always spend the same amount when I need a new PC. I always spend the same amount of money and pretty much buy the same PC. But because things have got cheaper every time I buy the same PC, it's upgraded. So
yeah, mine's a Vano Scorpion.
anyway, yeah, my PC would have no problem running that dodgy game that Yoji's playing with RAM to spare.
Yeah, I was. I spent more on my first PC than my first car.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
And my first car was a BMW 3 Series.
Brand new or second hand?
Second hand. I wasn't that, for sake. Give me a break.
Because I was just wondering.
Of course, it was second hand.
You got God.
That thing cost me an absolute. It cost me more than insurance. The car itself.
It was a nice Alienware. It had got like top of the range everything. It was a really, really good PC, but it's like literally a couple of days after its warranty ran out, it just went up in a bloody fireball. There's still a scorch mark on the ceiling.
Wow. God, I had a 17-inch monitor, which was like, it needed its own bloody, like, you needed its own desk.
Wow. So 17-inch monitor. Was it CRT? CRT.
Can't remember.
I had a 14-inch CRT monitor that was heavier than the computer and the desk.
This thing was that needed its own, almost in its own desk. It was like a serious heavy-duty desk for the monitor. It was scary. Just to harken back. This is that era. This perfectly. We've met Yojis. We know they exist in the world. We know that they're gnarly individuals.
We all have a Yoji in our friend group somewhere.
And
mentioning no names.
Yeah, it just happened. He was on this spiral, but he encountered Type S, and that just accelerated everything.
It was the girl whose name nobody can remember who introduced him to Type S.
Yeah, because it was a girl's friend.
Yeah, the one with the glasses and the centre parting who goes slightly more bonkers as the See, the thing is, I liked her. I actually quite liked. She was crazy, but it was a friendly kind of crazy. Until she went
But poor Ray in this. Oh God, that flip-floppy girl. She just wants to get a bloody job and earn a bit of money.
online.
And she meets Creeposaurus, fucking Yoji. Like, who needs that in their life?
Not Ray. Ray does.
Oh. God, this episode's that intense. we've just been cut off. Oh dear. But yeah, this episode is gnarly. There's nothing graphic happens in it. It's all the suggestion and the hints, and just that if you know people that are out there, you just know they're out there. And he's like a supervisor in this. Well, in the chat. You popped out. Why am I typing when I can just speak? Yeah, Flea, you popped out, so just reconnect. Close the browser, come back in again. Yeah, we're seeing this. He's working this part-time job. He's like the supervisor in this cafe, and he's fixated in this wee girl Ray, and yeah, he just gets. There we go. Yeah, I went to type and then realized you were doing it in the public chat. Just answered. Yeah. You back? Not hearing anything. Technology is wonderful. So I'm not hearing me if you're speaking. I don't know, give him a second and then we'll see. I'll try not to go too far ahead, but yeah. This type A stuff, it's like it's not it's a drug, but it's herb based, so it's you pour it onto like a naked flame, and yeah, it's like aromatherapy, but it does stuff to you, and you just lose. You get confidence. That was the whole point. It gives you confidence to talk to people, apparently, but it's something more than that. It's almost like yeah. Can you hear me on this? If you're watching the, we'll see. Hopefully, hopefully he'll be back with us. But yeah, that's the whole point. It's supposed to give you confidence, but it releases something else inside you once you start like taking it or using it. Yeah, we just watched Yoji absolutely spiral, and then we see some of the other ones that are busy like meth heads are coming to. Oh, there you go.
It's a bit. Yes, I'm back. Sorry, my internet's had its like 10 o'clock wibble.
All right.
They're supposed to have fixed it, so I should phone them tomorrow.
Yeah. It's very oddly specific when it goes down like that. Yeah, so I was just explaining there that basically, yeah, this type S is supposed to be like a confidence booster, but it's so much more. So unlocking like dark parts of people, and then we're seeing people coming back to Satomi, like they're meth heads.
Yeah, I see if you've put.
Oh. Nope, lost you again. Yeah, this is addictive. It's like it's messing with people. We're seeing people like when they're first taking it seems like a bit of a giggle, and then they're completely dependent on it. And I did not twig on that was Satomi, the drug dealer, in this. I knew he was not of this world. I knew he was an entity of some sort, but just the way he's drawn, like it took me a minute to twig on. Because, like I said, there's so much happening here. It's hard to keep tracking some of the characters. You're kind of trying to wonder who's important, who's staying on for the whole series, or who's just a point of view character for that moment. Are we back? I'm hearing.
God, I hope.
There we go. Yeah, like I said, if you hadn't pointed out the fact that this was Satomi was dealing the Type S, I actually glossed over that because I think it's overstimulus.
Yeah, it all the characters look the same though. That's the problem. It's like it's kind of like every single male character almost looks like a waxwork of each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like slight differences in hair because most of the times you see them they're in school uniform.
Yep. And then like, the timeline as well. You're trying to figure out what part of the timeline is the story taking part in. That's another big messer. Just thing that's messing with your head in this. So I think that's a problem with this when you're trying to figure out. You're kind of getting overstimulated.
Yeah,
I am anyway. So it's like
it's one of those series where you really got to concentrate because it's like normally in anime it's like every single character is a caricature.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they've either got really spiky bright colored hair or humongous great weirdly colored eyes or a certain way of talking or a certain way of acting. In Boogiepop Phantom and quite a lot of like anime or like horror related animes of this time, the characters look like people.
Yeah, and they even interspose. That's an interesting thing to do as well with the breaks and stuff. Is they interspose actual footage of people,
yeah,
and mute them, and they interspose that in with the the anime as well. We've never even talked about that. That's something to do as well with this. So you
It's,
are literally being overstimulated.
mm,
This is one I think you experienced the first time watching it. That's what I'm encountering now.
'Cause
Is
it's
I'm
like
experiencing the emotion of this story that I know it's there. I'm
mm,
trying to keep a handhold, figure out what the hell's going on, and that's my experience. I think the second time I watch it, I'm gonna get
mm.
something different from
the
it.
like there are three different stories being told in this anime at the
Mhm.
moment, and it's like all the cast is mixed in and walking around and talking to each other. And you've got to try and work out who belongs to which storyline.
Yeah.
It's great. I think I love it.
No, don't get me wrong. I am thoroughly enjoying myself, and it's like I said, it's nice to go through something that you're actually having to think and figure out, and you're sort of asking yourself, "Am I right?" And then you don't mind if you're wrong, but at least you're taking part in the story. You're engaged rather than just being a passenger and sort of blindly going along for
Yeah,
it.
it is. Even during the course of one episode, it's one of those animes where it's worth flicking back a few seconds sometimes just to make sure something that you saw or heard was in fact what you saw and heard.
Mm-hmm. No, look at that.
Mm,
An interesting fact is that as this
mm,
progress, like his degeneration progresses on, and the bit where he has Ree busy in a locker room, and he's trying to get her to put on a swimsuit, like in work,
swimsuit.
because that's what he has his character dressed in,
Yeah.
and that's what we should finally report him. But he has the Type S burning away. How come she's not affected by it, or is
Right. I was waffling on about this when my internet decided to die. It doesn't affect her because she's not special enough. You remember back in
this back to the tower and the doctor and the
right,
drug?
like you remember that Life is So Nice when
Yes,
Mizuzo goes to Boogiepop, says, "Take me, please, take me away from all this," and she basically turns around and says, "You're not worth taking." She's not worth taking because she's not special enough.
right.
Ri is not special enough to be affected by this drug.
Oh yes, because we got the conversation
Mm,
with Satomi and his
mm,
assistant about they're
mm.
basically using the drug to highlight certain people.
Yeah, to create slaves. Did you notice that when he finally loses it and he goes back to Sayatomi and goes like, "I want more drugs, I want more drugs," he doesn't actually notice that she is basically eating someone,
He just
as in
yeah.
like, "Gosh, I'm hungry."
Hmm.
And he's just kind of, "You've not seen any of this. I'm good with that. Give me the
Just give me
taco."
more.
Because it's it's the girl whose name no one can remembers with the centre parting and the glasses who sold him the drugs originally.
Hmm.
Because he was talking to him and making no sense, and he just basically went, and the back of her head exploded. He just like snapped his fingers, and the back of the head exploded, which I thought it is that is such a good scene.
Yeah. Yeah. This episode just messed up. It's like dark.
Yeah.
This is proper dark
It's
episode.
it's like this episode could have gone wrong in so many ways. If the story had continued, it could have gone wrong in so many ways.
Hmm.
But as it was, it's like there's the Tower of Light, the electromagnetic pulse that knocks out everything, and it knocks out his computer, and it deletes his game. It deletes his game.
Hmm.
So he's lost his version of Ri, and he goes out looking for her, screaming and yelling, and that's when he gets taken by the police. It's kind of quite honest. Couldn't happen to a nicer chap, really, could it?
Yeah, but then he's the bloke that Mizuzu and Panera were encountering
Yeah.
before they went into the abandoned building. And then that scene, so we'll go back to the previous episode.
So
That's
yeah.
theirs.
So like I say, every episode has something that either goes back to the previous episode or jumps forward to the next one. And it's like it's part of the, again, it's part of the time. It's there to help you fit the episodes into the timeline.
Yeah.
So
Straight.
it's like whatever happened in whatever happened in Life Can Be So Nice must have like only just happened because you meet Yoji kind of like towards the end of that episode. No, in the middle of that episode.
The episode.
I'm confusing myself now. This is good.
No, that's what I mean. It's like you're bouncing back and forward. You're like, oh yeah, that's relevant because that's Wasim, Mizuzu, and Planeri. And then this is just before they're getting ready, where it gets revealed who Mizuzu is.
Got a headache. That's it. I'm gonna have to watch Boogiepop Phantom again from the beginning, starting tonight.
And then we have then we go into interlude. And this is where we meet Morita. So we'll find out that the serial killer cop is called Morita. And this is where he fits into it all.
This is one of the episodes that asks a lot more questions than it answers.
The question we never got answered.
Oh.
Who was Yoji talking to in the message boards?
We never actually find out, do we?
But that person's egging him on.
Because he was the guy who was kind of like, yeah, do it. Okay, where did you get your Type S? He just wanted to know where the drug was coming from. I think it was basically like he was telling Yoji what Yoji wanted to hear, just so he'd tell him where he was getting his Type S from. Because everyone wants this amazing drug.
Yeah, so I was wondering if it might have been Morita, but once again, or well, I guess we'll see.
It gives him a voice, but
then again, it's back that era. It could have been anybody because those chat boards were nightmare. They were bad. That's why they're closed down. Like
it's like the throwback to the MSN chat boards is the real horror here, folks.
They were honestly bad times. Back when the internet was the Wild West, like you can't say anything about today because it's nothing compared to when this when it first came out. There was a chance somebody's going to end up in your bedroom. Honestly, it was that scary. But we got through it.
You'll be there talking to someone on MSN, and you can hear the edge of the knife scraping along the window outside.
Yeah, because they've already found out your address and stuff.
We know where you are.
Yeah. And this is where we'll get, anyway, we'll go to interlude, and this is where we get the first reference to the TOA organization, which we believe, or I believe, is linked to the tower, running the tower, or a product of the tower. Possibly connected to the Doctor, we don't know. Or the Doctor might have been part of the TOA organization, or we don't know how she's fit in yet, but we've now got a name of an entity.
Yeah, it's like we've now got the name of the. Is it basically like the Boogiepop Phantom version of Umbrella?
Yeah.
Or are they the good guys? Are they the bad guys? It doesn't tell you. You're going to be unfortunately you're probably going to be left with a lot more questions about the TOA organization than you are answers.
And that's fine. That's but we've got something now to hang on to.
Because this is more about the characters than the background.
Yeah, because it's why would anybody just go about their life, know about everything? It's almost not a third person perspective, like an overall story. It's point of view stories throughout this in a universe. But yeah, we've got Toa. He's Morita is basically telling the story about this. And we know something's off because his partner.
I love the interaction between this pair. Because it's like you know something terrible is going to happen. It kind of like the conversations they have like preload the bases. You know that something bad is going to happen. Just for the simple fact that every time, pretty much, they're talking about this organization, this secret organization. And at the end of every time they talk about it, his partner turns around and says, have we had this conversation before?
So here's a character I'm having a bit of a problem with. It's not Toka, is it? Are we back to? We're back to one of the earlier characters from episode 1, I think.
Oh grief! Is it Toka?
I don't think it's Toka. I put down Toka, but I don't think it is. Is it? It's not Karimi. Is it Moto?
Just a moment. I'm looking to see if I can find this.
I know she's an important character. I know she's already been featured, but this is back to where this is the problem with binging this, like one after the other, and not going back and rewatching it about 6 times. I know she's an important character, and I know the sports bag she has is important.
If she's got a sports bag and she was at home talking with her parents, that's Toka.
That's Toka, right? So I was right then.
Oh yeah, because it says there what's in the sports bag. To which my answer is, wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, but I know it's important. But I was trying to think, have I missed her character?
Toka is one of the main characters, but she only, like in Boogiepop Phantom, she only flits in and out a few times.
Is this her first appearance?
This is her second appearance.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
She's in episode 1.
I thought that, but I couldn't.
Oh, actually, she might appear in.
It's the bedroom scene. It's the covers are the same in the bedroom.
Yeah, she's definitely in episode 1, but she just kind of like flits in and out.
Right.
It's
so
like you see her again in one of the later episodes.
But I've definitely seen her before.
Yes, we've definitely met Toka before.
The bedroom scene and the covers and stuff. I know she's featured, but I was sort of going back and I'm like, no, it's not Moto. Her story's done. It's not Karimi because she's appearing completely different. A different school because this is the Shinyo Academy.
Yeah, this is the rough school.
Yep. All right, so this is Toka then, okay, and yeah, we've met her briefly, but this is more involving her in this story now. She's more prevalent in it. But essentially, this is Marita's story. This is Marita basically revealing himself. It's like, is this him becoming activated again? Or was this during the time when he was...
Tra-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la. I am answering no questions. I will answer questions regarding characters. I am answering no questions regarding the plot or what may or might not be.
Right. So this is Marita, and he's either... Was this happening during the time when he was active? I'm not sure. I think it might be 5 years. This is him prior to going after Mizuno.
Right.
I think he was waiting. Something.
Like everything Marita says during this episode is relevant. He even tells you his real name.
Mm-hmm. This is an important. I kind of guess this is an important episode.
It is. It actually reveals a lot of the backstory. Or it actually what it does. It tells you a lot about the serial killer and why people have to die. Colin's thinking I need to watch this one again.
Yeah, I do because it's like I said, this is a problem with binge watching this stuff. This is one you need to take your time with.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that.
That's a problem trying to do it for a review. I'm already seeing now where I'm missing stuff, and
it's totally worth spending like a few evenings, just like going through this, watching it at leisure, stopping, thinking, There's a lot of thinking involved in Boogiepop Phantom.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, and this is where the police as well. They find the old lady basically in a house that looks as if it's been just abandoned for decades. Like it's overgrown and everything inside and out and moss. And it's more than just a house being abandoned. It's like just completely overgrown. Like it's been left for about 20 years.
I think one of the creepiest things is the way they find the old lady.
With the flowers?
With a flower in her mouth and leaves over her eyes. It's like she's been dead for several days.
But the house looks as if it's been like that way for years. Like
the house is just like overgrown with vines and things.
Mm-hmm.
They introduce in that scene. They introduce a new character, Manaka.
Yeah, Butterfly Girl.
The Butterfly Girl.
Yeah.
Who's a bit of an odd one, to be quite honest.
Yeah, she appears like in a vision to people, and
the butterflies made of light.
Yeah, but there's something else. It's like I don't know whether she's giving them to people or taking them from people. It's
she's kind of going back to episode 2. She's kind of the opposite of Hisashi.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Hisashi takes memories away from people, she gives them back by using butterflies, which I'm pretty sure are a kind of bug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Once again, but this is all basically revolving around the tower. This is telling the story of the tower.
Yeah, it's all to do with the Tower of Light.
Yeah.
But you see, right. You will be glad to know that later on it will actually explain to you what the Tower of Light was.
I'm kind of guessing that's what we're leading up to, but this is where we're sort of,
because that is like the incident that happened. The Tower of Light is something that appears in the novel series.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say, this is a spin-off story from those.
Yeah. The drug comes from the Tower of Light that's changed people, and it's those people that Marita is actually hunting down, or I'm thinking they're descendants, because whatever's happened the 5 years previous, somehow, if it was 20 years, it'd be like the drug's been passed down through their kids, but it's not. The timeline's too short.
Oh, right. I would love to tell you exactly what is going on, because it's like Marita's conversation with his colleague. It's like, although it's like split into several parts and sometimes it backtracks on itself, it tells you everything that is going on currently. But I can't tell you here in case some of the people who are listening actually go onto that Boogiepop Phantom and watch it.
Yeah, you need to watch this.
You need to sit down with a nice cup of tea and a digestive and watch Interlude again.
Yeah, I can see that. That's the problem with rushing for a review. It's like, but there's definitely, it's all starting. It's relating to the tower. The tower's produced a drug. Drug has been given to certain people. Marita is hunting down the people who have been administered this drug. Something to that effect.
I'm taking notes. We can talk about this next time.
That's the bits I'm getting unraveled. Something else has happened. This is only a month after the Tower of Light happens, that incident. But whatever that has occurred has made this other manifestation of people's abilities happen, or demons, or whatever the hell, if it's interdimensional or what, are starting to pop up. But something, he's waiting for a sign which has made him reactivate again. Hence, what happened to Mizuzu. And that bit I don't know. That's the missing pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
Something has triggered him to need to reactivate again. I don't know whether he just went to ground or he's waiting. But
the answer to some of what you have just said is totally in this episode.
Yeah.
I'm not enjoying this. Honestly, I'm not enjoying this. It's like I love people's reactions to shows like this, Doctor series like this that actually, it's instead of just watching the pretty lights and everything like that, you've actually got to think while you're watching it. You've actually got to concentrate on what's going on, because if you don't, you're going to miss something.
Yep. And it's quite obvious I've missed something.
I love it. It's like Marita, air quotes, Marita will explain it all to you. It's like, I'll give you a little bit. Like, Marita's name isn't Marita. Marita's name is Snake Eyes.
Right. As in G.I. Joe.
Could be where we get it from.
Yeah. This is an important episode, and I need to go back to it because it's all we know there's a whole chain of events. This is not random. It's deliberate, and it's in reaction to other events. Not everything is malevolent. The lines between, he's not just strictly a serial killer. There's purpose. I don't just mean a serial killer's justification. I mean, there's stuff going on here.
I'm nodding. You can't see me, but I'm nodding.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that. Then we'll go on to Mother's Day.
I really like this episode.
So, it's a mother and daughter, Shizu and Wasaka. Shizu's daughter, is that right?
Yes.
She's the one that's died.
She was a victim of no. Guess how she died?
5 years previously, victim of.
Oddly enough, she was killed by a serial killer.
Strange that. Yep. Wasaka is reading her daughter's diary.
Yes. What's it? Hey, she's like the mother. Wasaka is moving away, and because she's moving away, one of her daughter's friends, they were doing an exchange diary where you write something in a book and then you give it to your friend. Your friend writes something and you give it back. And they write. Right. It's just backwards and forwards with the diary about thoughts and things like that. She gave them to Shizue's mother so that she could read them, and so a lot of what happened, a lot of what's in this is stuff that is happening 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So what we do know is that Shizu's father now I don't know how. No, he did die. It was natural causes, wasn't it?
Pretty sure he was murdered.
As well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
God, that was late.
Hang on. Was it Shizue who died of? No. She was the victim. Do you know, actually? No, I've said that I'm doubting myself. I can't remember how her father died.
Shizue was going to see the doctor.
The same doctor.
That's what I just said. The doctor, not a doctor. The doctor. Notice the difference when I say.
Right. Do you think? This is the episode, I'm pretty sure, where you see Boogiepop and Nagi killing the doctor. Do you think the doctor's got anything to do with this?
I know the doctor's everything to do with this.
That doctor is so creepy in that first episode.
But not as bad as Wasaka. Yeah, your father's dead. It's been a week. Shut up and pass your exams.
That's welcome to Japan. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's time to stop crying and get on with your life.
Yeah.
Bereavement cancers will give you that shit. It's very true.
Shut up and hold on. Shut up and pass your exams. But yeah, she's going to basic grief counselling. Yes. And the doctor is just twisting her brain, like that doctor, right? That doctor is as big a freak as Yoji. Yeah,
Only instead of like blackmailing schoolgirls and doing it with a computer screen, she's twisting people's heads real time.
Ah, God, yeah.
There is a reason. There is a reason behind it all. There's totally a reason behind it all.
Yeah, and obviously the mother's then twigging on that this is, she's basically finding out through the diary that all this shit was going on.
It's like, yeah, it's and it's like, oh yeah, it's like we discover that Shizue's got PTSD because she saw her mother having sex with a co-worker in the back of his car or something to that effect.
But this was just after, so it wasn't an affair though.
No, it was
after, but it was a very short period of time after.
Yeah, from what it hints in the episode, it's like her mother was a housewife and she didn't go back into work until after her husband had died.
Yeah. And that's where Wasaka finds out that her daughter knew, and that's what starts its whole spiral. And the big schism basically between them. What was the doctor going on about her hair length? I can't remember that bit.
Oh, pardon, sorry.
The doctor was like having to go at her about her hair length, cut her hair short or something, wasn't it?
Weird. Yeah, she was basically
like
it was almost like she was giving her advice after a messy breakup. Go wear some makeup and cut your hair short and go out and have some fun.
Yeah. And that's where she offers her the drug as well. There's a special drug for special people.
Special drug. The special drug for special people.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember there being a scene on this one, which is like 5 years ago, where you have Nagi asking questions to someone what kind of person Shizue was. Right at the beginning of the episode.
I think I kind of missed that one. I think I was tired. Honestly, this was late by the time I watched this last episode, which I'm regretting now.
Nothing really comes. As I remember.
No, just these last 2 episodes, you can probably tell that it was like I binged all 6, and yeah, it was a bit late when I was sort of reviewing them. I feel like I've missed stuff.
It's too information overload. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's as well. It doesn't help when you're.
It's like while she's reading her daughter's diaries, she keeps seeing her daughter's ghost.
I didn't know if that was her daughter's ghost or her own guilt. As she's finding out that she's basically the cause, and indirectly the cause of her daughter's death.
Technically, it was neither.
Mm.
Also, the do you remember the pregnant woman?
Yes.
That's Butterfly Girl's mum.
Right.
So
that would make sense because Butterfly Girl was essentially institutionalized, and she didn't want to tell anybody she was unmarried, or they were basically kept trying to say, "Do you want to get rid of this? Because there's still time." Fucking.
Yeah, but she's like, no, I'm not going to do it. That doctor is creepy. I'm just checking something.
Yeah. I don't think this episode didn't. It wasn't as pivotal as the previous one.
It wasn't what.
It almost felt like a bit of a sort of bring me down, or here's a little side story just to give your brain a break. That's what the impression I was getting from it.
A lot of it is to do with the doctor, and even though the only reason it's Butterfly Girl's mum is because when they discover her grandmother, there's that picture. because remember the Marita, or the guy
Because
masquerading
it's the
as
grandmother
Marita.
that's dead.
Yeah,
in
the
the
grandmother
house.
is dead, but he
That's the daughter.
yeah he finds a picture of like the grandmother and a young girl who's taller than her,
Mhm.
because on the back it says Manica, aged 5.
Yep, it is. That's Butterfly Girl. Yep. Yeah, I don't know what else to take from this episode because it was just I was sort of I think after the previous one was so much information and I was trying
Yeah,
to process that. I jumped on this one. It just felt like a little side story. And I
it
think I kind of switched off a bit watching it.
like this is basically what this episode is it's basically background for something in the future,
Right.
because it's like whereas most of the characters in this come from the novel, there are a couple of characters who aren't in the novels, and one of those is Manica. So
Mhm.
this is basically like Butterfly Girl. This is basically if you this one and one of the ones that are going to come later are basically Butterfly Girl's backstory.
Right. Okay, so that'll make sense then. Yeah, because it
But
didn't feel like it was carrying. I felt like it was sort of okay. We're stepping off somewhere else now.
yeah,
Take a break
because
from the main bit.
yeah, when you get right towards the end, there's a scene with Shizue's mum in the
Mhm.
kitchen, and it's like this like image of Shizue is there going like, I knew you were trying your best, mum. I always knew you were trying your best. I love you. I'm sorry things turned out like this. And then she just fades away. It cuts to the outside, and Manica is using her butterflies to cause all this.
Give her the memory.
Because if you remember, she's met a guy who's dressed like Peter Pan or something like that. Who
Oh, I
whose
was
name?
trying to. I thought that was Boogiepop.
No, that's Pum Pum.
Right. So we don't
There,
realize yet.
there is a lot going on that hasn't been properly introduced or explained
Yeah.
yet.
Fuck. I tell you what. This is really melting my head.
Welcome to Boogiepop Phantom.
I think the difference is if I just watched this all as a one and then went back and unpicked it. But when you're trying to do it as a review, as in take it at face value, and this is only the first half of it.
Yeah,
And I binge watched it, which I don't think helped. But I've limited time. You know what I mean? I have to do it. It's the only way I can do it for
we have
reviews.
to. I mean, it's all right for me. I can just
At least I'm taking notes. Do you know what I mean? Because that's something. If you weren't taking notes with us, bloody hell.
Can you imagine? This is like I say, I'm in double figures of watching this.
Yeah.
I might get some character names wrong, but I can sit here and recite off the entire plot of Boogiepop Phantom. But it's always I'm having great fun listening to people, someone who's only just watched it for the first time, come up with all the theories and everything.
And then probably watch them all get turn their head, or at least if there's one bit that's like, I got it right. Yes, I was paying attention.
You've got some stuff right, but it's just the fact that
I can see the elements, I can see the connections, but it's the detail.
But it's like interlude episode 5 is one that you really need to pay attention to, because like I said, although it's chopped up into different bits, it's like Marita tells his colleague everything that is going on. And then at the end where he says Marita keeps erasing the cop's memory, then retelling the story, kind of.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah. All right.
It's just such a great series.
I'm not lying. I'm intrigued. I'm hooked. I'm intrigued. I definitely feel like I can't just jump into the next 6 episodes. I have to go back. If that makes sense.
See, that's a sign. That is, for me, that is a sign of a good series, especially something like this, because it's like a lot of Japanese horror. The horror is quite it's there, but it's quite light. It's very subtle.
It's not right. It's once again, it's not a slasher. Horror has so many different forms, and there's something like this is sinister. Like there's no if, buts, or maybes about it. Something sinister is going on in this town and with the people. The serial killer is just a symptom of it. There's something like proper wrong, and you get that sense something horrible has been done to people, and we're just trying. And some of them realize, some don't, and it's manifesting in different ways. This is dark. Like there's no if buts or maybes about it. This isn't a fluffy. It's not an action series. It's not a thriller. It's horror, right? There's no question of that. This is what I'm trying to with this channel is open people up to, that there's so many different genres, that it's not just the tentpole Hollywood stuff that everyone's used to. It's not your Jason and Freddy's. Everyone thinks that's the beginning and the end of the horror genre, and it's so much deeper than that. And this is just another avenue for it. And it's also cool to see through a different culture how they tell horror stories. That's how you really get to know a culture, is how they tell their horror stories, because that's, you see their values, you see what's important, you see what people fear.
I agree so much. I agree so much with that.
And that's where I don't believe this Hollywood homogenization of everything is a good idea. It's not our culture. It's not British culture. It's something else. And I'm so glad that there's still, like, Korean horror has stepped up and pushed back against it, give people an alternative. J-horror has stepped up. Even European horror, you're seeing a lot of, like, small, which is a lot of the remakes that Hollywood's doing. Speaking of Wheels, a perfect example of, you know, oh, you've done something impactful, we're going to take that. Martyrs is another one. You know, I mean, there's loads that they've remade.
And then they just remake it, and every time they remake
sanitize it,
it just gets weaker and weaker and cleaner and cleaner.
It's like you make a copy of a disc 100 times, you know.
Oh yeah,
copy 70 is not gonna. It's gonna have bugs and all sorts of shit.
Eventually, it'll be unreadable.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm really excited to do the second part of this. I want to see what the hell this is intriguing as hell. I'm kicking myself and I'm missing bits because I'm
like, there is like every single episode is like so full of information. There is so much going on that it's like by the time you get to episode 6, it's like it's pouring out your ears. There's just so much going on though.
And thing is, Boogiepop hasn't appeared. Like, it doesn't appear in every episode. It's not a. That's a background thing. That's going to maybe become prevalent later. But
so it's just what is Boogiepop? Who is Boogiepop?
Yeah,
because it's like as in all the things. If you've read the novels, you know of Boogiepop. You know what Boogiepop represents. In this, it's just this person in a glam cloak and hat that appears every so often.
Yeah.
Seems to use what looks like a plumb bob as a weapon.
No, cool. There you go. Yeah, obviously we're back in 2 weeks' time. We're not spinning the wheel because we know exactly what we're doing.
Oh, God, can you imagine if we spun the wheel and it was something?
Oh no, I couldn't. No. We're not doing that. That'll be a mess. We started doing a series. We did it in 2 parts. We're finishing it. Makes sense. There you go. Thanks as always.
Always a pleasure.
Next time it'll be fun when you laugh at me for all my wrong.
I'm glad you're enjoying this one.
Yeah, I am. But I'm definitely not going to have to go back now before I carry on with the next episodes.
It's like you only need to watch like the last couple. You'll be glad to know, just the last couple.
All right, makes sense. All right then. Yeah, thanks for everyone for tuning in, and make sure you watch us. Links in the description. Go check us out before the next one, and yeah, be primed because it's going to be good to have people in the chat that have watched this and give their opinions as well.
It'd be funny if we could like collect everybody's theories. It's like
and then just go with them, pick them apart, and then see if any of us are any of the wiser at the end of it.
Boogiepop bingo. I can see it now.
Fun times. There you go. Thanks as always. And until next time, go update the channel, do the technical things, and remember to keep creepy, keep it horrific.